Gwynn and Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
And the SS Padres sails on into murky waters. We welcome you to Gwynn and Chris. Very happy Wednesday afternoon to you, wherever you might be. You are now with us, Gwynn and Chris, on San Diego's #1 sports talk station, 97.3 The Fan. Chris Ello here, Tony Gwynn Jr., and Matt Skraby together in the Odyssey Palace studios. You can enjoy the program listening or viewing. We are now streamed right there on YouTube, and you just download, you search for 97.3 The Fan SD, and you can watch us do the program while we're right here in the Odyssey Palace studios. We'll be here until 6 o'clock this afternoon. I understand that you streamers have been plentiful over the last week and a half since we started this, so we appreciate people joining us and checking in on our goings-on here during the afternoons. Tony Gwynn Jr., how are you today? I assume you're a little saddened because the Lakers will not have an undefeated regular season.
There was a bad day in sports for your boy TG.
Yeah.
My prediction that Philly would just beat on the Diamondbacks.
Well, yours and everybody's. I mean, really, anybody who says that they had Arizona winning the series, especially after they got blown out in the first two games, is lying.
Yeah, no. I mean, at that time, I felt pretty good about my selection.
Yeah,
but,
everybody did. So
hats off to the Diamondbacks, man.
No kidding, man.
And Corbin Carroll and Moreno and.
These are rookies. These are just rookies.
And let's not forget the savvy vet Ketel Marte, because he showed up and showed out in that series as well. What it was a reminder of is you need your best players to perform at a high level.
And to that end, Turner and Harper and Schwarber went a combined 1 for 20 in the last two games. That's the answer in every series.
Answer. Yeah, there hasn't been one series where a team has won.
Yeah,
and their best players
haven't come through.
We're at least coming through, because that's a big difference, right? Weren't playing at a high level or didn't come through at some point in the series.
Yeah, Harper had a couple of big chances, hit some long fly balls
right up against the wall.
But they stayed in the ballpark last night. And kudos as well to the San Diego connection at the back of that Arizona bullpen. Kevin Ginkel. From El Capitan High School, he looks absolutely as unhittable as any pitcher in baseball right at this moment. His slider is dropping off the table. There is absolutely no way to hit that pitch. And then you get the kid from USD comes in and closes it out. So
is it C?
I said the kid because I just Seawald. Yes, I forgot his name for a moment as well. But Ginkel was especially impressive, and I enjoyed the interview with him after the game on the field. He was almost choked up. It took everything he had,
rightfully so,
to keep the tears from flowing. Don't forget, this is a Diamondback team 2 years ago lost 110 games. The Texas Rangers lost over 100 that season as well, Tony. And so it is just 2 years removed for these two teams to be in the World Series. It is the number 5 seed in the American League, the Texas Rangers. And for the second year in a row, the number 6 seed, the worst team basically in the National League playoffs, makes it to the World Series. The Phillies did it as a 6 seed last year. This year, they're the victim of that.
The crazy part is, oftentimes we try to predict out what's going to happen, right? But in this case, right, so many of those Diamondbacks are coming through, and just looking ahead to next year, like, not saying it's a guarantee, but these dudes could come in with a whole different mindset, confidence that they had than they had this year, and that makes them potentially dangerous.
This is not great news for the Padres.
No.
I mean, you've already got the Dodgers that aren't going to go anywhere in the division. Now you've got a World Series team in the division with you in the Diamondbacks, and you now officially have your former manager coaching and managing the San Francisco Giants, who, by the way, will play the season opener at Petco Park against the Padres. So something we can all look forward to. But yes, it is now official. Bob Melvin is with the Giants. The Padres are now without a manager. And to that end, AJ Preller met with the media today. Well, he didn't meet with them. a Zoom call with media today to answer a bunch of questions. We'll play you some of his remarks. We've already been over this for the last 2 days, Tony. I mean, this is a ship that is sailing through murky waters right now. Hopefully they'll come out the other side. But for the moment, the fans, I think, have a right to be upset, feel a little hurt, kind of wonder what in the world is really going on with the Padres organization, what changed over the last 3 weeks from when AJ Preller said Bob Melvin is our manager and we're looking forward to going ahead into next year. What changed between then and now? I think we all would like some answers. AJ Preller, like I said, he did his Zoom conference today. He didn't provide many answers, and that's kind of AJ's way of speaking. He says a lot without saying anything, but
we said that yesterday.
Yeah,
there probably you weren't going to get
we're not going to get a lot of we're not going to get a lot of aha moments from AJ Preller, but we'll play you some of what he said. But Tony, I mean, it's officially done now.
Yeah.
So we can kick this around and we can kick everybody involved. But the bottom line is, and the one thing I do agree with what AJ said today is, now our focus has to be going forward. Right. I mean, everybody's going to want to know about the past, and everybody's going to be asking about it and, trying to address what happened to get us to this point. But what we need to do as an organization is focus on what we got to do now. And what they have to do now is find the right guy to come in. And I think it's going to be difficult. I mean, I will ask this question. It's not the nicest of questions, but, who's going to want to work in this organization? Who's going to want to work with this general manager with the perceived track record that AJ Preller has of not really allowing managers to, do their own thing? And that may be a perception, but I think it's reality to a lot of people out there. I'm sure somebody's going to want this job. And hopefully it's somebody good like Mike Schilt. Hopefully somebody great like Will Venable. I mean, I love that name coming over from the Rangers where he's been with Bochy. But, obviously Ryan Flaherty's name is a big one. And, we'll see who else they interview. But, somebody's going to have to come in here and find a way to coexist with AJ Preller. And I think a little bit of that's on AJ Preller to help that person coexist with him.
Yeah, I mean, assuming – that is the reason, it'll certainly be incumbent upon him to try to make some type of change. But the reality is, as you said, there are a bunch of questions that I'm sure everybody wants answered that we may not ever get answered. But what does need to happen is there does need to be a manager named at some point. Now, we're going to find out in this process. Names are going to leak. We probably won't get the details on exactly how those interviews go or who, says what to who. But we do know two guys that I think because they've been mentioned, I must assume that they do want to work with AJ Preller, and that is Ryan Flaherty and Mike Schilt. Now, everything else, we saw a report today that Craig Counsell's interviewing with the Mets. I mean, if we're having an open manager, interviews, Craig Counsell is a pretty good one to at least talk to.
I would think so. He's been very successful. You and I threw Dusty out there yesterday because we don't know if he's coming back with Houston. That would have to wait probably till after the World Series. So it may be a little time.
AJ did say in the press conference that he has been contacted by a lot of names that he didn't even think would be interested in the job. So, if that's true, I like that because then it's not just the internal guys. I really want this decision to be made over time and not just, all right, we found our guy, let's go. Because AJ said in the press conference, he wants a manager for the next decade with the team. And I don't know how I can envision that with what has happened so far.
Well, that is hard to envision right now, but that would be somewhere where AJ would have to make a change and get comfortable with somebody.
He said what now? He said that he's had a lot
of envisioned somebody.
No. Before that,
he said people have reached out about the job and people
that would have to be people who don't have jobs at this point.
I would think so.
I don't think you're allowed to reach out to a president of baseball operations if you are already under contract.
No, I totally get it. And I'm assuming, and we don't even know who he's talking about.
Right.
Maybe he said he didn't realize that like a guy who's in the minor leagues wanted the job.
I think he was definitely surprised when I called him. Told him I was.
What did he say? What did he say, Chris?
So, well, I hadn't thought of you yet, Chris, but now that you've mentioned it, I'll consider it. I don't know. In all reality, watching that press conference today,
I'm anxious to hear something because I purposely did not listen to it because I wanted to have no preconceived notion of anything. So I wanted to come in and hear it.
I will save my opinion then until you hear it.
Yeah, we'll hear some of it, and then we'll kick around what we thought. We also heard from Bob Melvin today, who was introduced in San Francisco. I think, you can read between the lines with some of the things that he said. His quote about why he chose the Giants over staying in San Diego. And here's exactly what Bob Melvin said. He said, I think there was a narrative at the end that probably wasn't going to go away. Me being on the last year of my contract, I think as far as that organization goes, it's probably not fair if that narrative continued through next year. So all things considered, this opportunity came about, and for all the reasons I stated, this feels like the right one for me. I very much enjoyed my time in San Diego. Yeah, we could hear him say that if we want to. I think Bob Melvin said what he needed to say up there in San Francisco. There's no reason to try to, mudsling right now.
Yeah, that's
at
not
this
really,
point. He said, she
that's not
said.
really his style. That's
not Bob Melvin's style. But I think, his answer wasn't concrete in the sense of this was the exact reason why I'm leaving San Diego and coming to San Francisco.
Right.
He left it open for your interpretation, and all of us can interpret it the way we want to. It's pretty clear to me that everything that was reported about the divide between he and AJ Preller, it had to be true. It had to be true. And to what extent, I don't think any of us know. But I think that was ultimately the reason why Bob Melvin decided to move on. I mean, that's what I read between the lines anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's hard to disagree. He was a manager less than 24 hours ago that was a Padre manager.
Yeah, right.
Had said he was looking forward to returning, and then something happened. And now he's literally wearing a Giant uniform.
He was wearing one today. Yeah.
It feels like a dream, honestly.
It honestly, seeing it made me feel some type of way. But, at this point.
Are you talking about made you feel, well, I'll just say it made me feel angry it made me feel sad.
Seeing the Giant uniform on him kind of pissed me off.
And everyone was so excited to have him, and he was excited to be there. And
that's not to say that I feel some type of way about Bo Mel. I'm just saying, just seeing him in a different uniform, was jarring.
Yeah,
and I didn't think I'd feel that way.
Do we want to hear why he thinks it's going to work in SF over San Diego?
Sure.
You know what? I think it's just being part of the fabric of this community really is the most important thing to me right now. Obviously, with the resources that we have here and the commitment from ownership and everywhere else, you're always going to have a chance to win here. So I realize that there isn't a team that I haven't managed that no matter what the personnel looks like, when you go out to play a game, you are very convicted and you're going to win. So in Oakland, we might not have a lot of the resources some other teams, but we had some success, and that was based on the commitment from everybody from the top down in the organization. And that's the way it's going to be here too, even more so with more. I mean, you look at this ballpark and the fans that come out here and support this team, the city and everything. There are all the resources here to win. So I don't take it too much farther than that.
Well, I would say everything he said there is pretty true of San Diego as well. I think the resources are definitely here to win. In San Diego, Peter Seidler proved that by what his commitment was last year. But yeah, I mean, all the luck to Bob Melvin. I mean, you look around the National League West, and 3 of the 4 managers that the Padres are competing with at one time or another have been managers of the Padres. Now, Dave Roberts is only for 1 game as an interim, but he was indeed a manager. And of course, we know Bo Mel, and of course, we know Bud Black. The only manager in the division who wasn't a Padre manager is Torey Lovello, and he's going to the World Series now with the Diamondbacks. So the National League West has gotten a whole lot more interesting, that is for sure. We are underway for this Wednesday program. We made you wait a little, but we will let you hear from AJ Preller when we come back, some of his comments at his Zoom press conference today. Buster Olney from ESPN, I'm sure he's got some opinions on this whole situation. Not only that, the upcoming World Series. He will join us in about a half an hour, so stick around for him. We got to rate the radio call, Chris versus the Fans Daily Gambit. It's all coming your way between now and 6 o'clock. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Mr. Skraby, Gwynn and Chris, 97.3 The Fan.
Highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Our Cox mobile plans are like a band. The more people you add, the better it sounds. So add more lines to save more. Pay as low as $30 per line when you add 4 or more gig unlimited lines. It's easy. I like the sound of that. Visit Cox.com/mobile. 4 lines required for $30 per line. Price max of 5 lines. Prices exclude taxes, device activation, and other fees.
I think, from my conversations with Bob over the last few weeks, and I think clearly watching him today, I think we understood it was a unique opportunity in San Fran for him to go back home. And, the one job that definitely appealed to him outside of San Diego. So I think for us as an organization, our attention really switches forward to hiring a manager. And I think we're super excited about the process. We know we've got a really talented roster and some great players. And, our attention shifts as soon as today to go finding a manager that we feel like is going to connect with those players, shares the passion and thirst that our fan base has to bring in a championship here to San Diego. Somebody has a shared vision with the different departments of our organization. And, honestly, somebody that when we look up here at the end of the year, we're back playing in October, and that pursuit starts today. And we're looking forward to getting started on that.
AJ Preller's opening remarks in today's Zoom conference. Shared vision. That is the key word in that entire spiel there.
Yeah, who's ever coming in, share the vision with who? AJ?
That I don't know.
Share my vision.
That I don't know.
Share my vision.
Share my vision, and you can be the manager of the Padres.
We certainly are going to get into this interview a little bit, or not the interview, the Zoom press conference. As you could imagine, there was some hard hitting ones out there that came AJ's way. He, I think, did what I expected AJ to do, which is really not give you much of anything. So
his tap dancing expertise is exceptional. I must say.
I don't think there's anybody better.
I'm gonna call him Mr. Bojangles.
He tells you a lot without.
Do you guys know who that is?
Much.
I
famous tap dancer.
Yes.
Anyway.
Indeed. All right. He was asked why it didn't work with Bob.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, again, like I know this year was, we didn't meet our expectations. So I understand that for sure. I think we definitely look back on last year with a lot of fond memories and getting to the LCS. So kind of like judging how much did it work, how much didn't in 2 years, we getting to the playoffs one and then falling short the other. I do know for like talking to Bob, like I know it was different, like from Oakland, I think he got used to the situation there in Oakland and, coming here and just different roster, players with some from a contract situation was different. I think he talked about it today. Like, obviously, we've got, I think with Oakland, a smaller shop. I think some of those things, you kind of look back on and from my own standpoint, did I make it easier? How can I do it a little bit different to make sure that the manager feels comfortable? And, again, like, there's, we've got different departments here that contribute to winning and making sure that everybody's on the same page and communicating. That's probably my biggest job. And, I think as we go forward to the next manager, we've got to make sure we have somebody that, like from that standpoint, wanting the best information, wanting to use our resources as an organization, and myself kind of over the top, trying to coordinate it all. I think that's something I've got to really focus on to make sure we nail that. And we did at different points in the last couple of years, but I think as Bob alluded to here, I think he felt it was a little better fit, and I think we've got to find a manager that fits our group and our organization right now.
Yeah, and so I don't know that at least in AJ's mind, it was about it not working out, or at least not willing to grade it after 2 years. Once getting to an NLCS, once falling short, as he said. But it's going to be a question that I think, the further we get away with it from this particular spot, the less importance that will be, right? In terms of why it didn't work. Bob has moved on. He's in San Francisco now. Padres are beginning their search for their manager. But some of these other questions that we'll get through today aren't questions that are going to go away. That one in particular will move on. But
yeah,
here's one that I was interested in hearing what AJ had to say, and I think a lot of people were, and that is, if you wanted Bob to stay, why did you let him interview?
Yeah, I think the way we looked at when I sat down with Peter and ownership and Eric, I think what we looked at was basically like, this is an opportunity for Bob. I think we were on the other end of it a few years ago. I think it's not unprecedented. 2 years ago, we reached out to Oakland, in a similar spot, like understanding that, Bob's from that area and everything like that, but we had an opportunity that we at least wanted to see how it played out. and, we're granted permission at that time to talk. I think from this standpoint, really out of respect for Bob, what he's done, and kind of throughout the organization, this is the way we've operated for the most part over the last, 9 years or so since I've been here, is if a team calls and asks for permission, we feel like it's in the best interest of everybody to at least let the employee know, hey, this is what's out there. And I think from Bob's standpoint, he was pretty open that, that was the one job, at least when the Giants called, that at least he had to listen. So, those were the factors that went in. I sat down and, again, talking with and visiting with Peter and the group, like making sure that everybody's on the same page from that standpoint. We decided to let him interview.
So it sounds like from his perspective, it was a respect thing.
Very nice of AJ Preller
for Bob Melvin.
Very nice of the Padres to just let anybody go.
This is the weird part to me, is that it's so like, this is a great thing for Bob, and we're happy to get him to where he wants to go. That's not how, in my mind at least, that's not how the major leagues work. You're supposed to win.
Well, I think it does work if you don't really mind losing the guy. I think if the Padres truly desperately wanted Bob Melvin, then I don't think, they certainly wouldn't have just let him go. They wouldn't have let him interview up there. There would have been no reason for him to interview up there if everything was hunky-dory in San Diego. But it was clear that things were not hunky-dory here in San Diego. And again, I go back to what I said yesterday. I wonder how much of what was going on here the Giants knew about up there. Because when they asked for permission to interview Bob Melvin, did they know that they had a chance for the Padres to come back with a yes, it's okay answer? Or did they just ask willy-nilly, hoping against hope that the Padres might let him search elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, what we do know is that in terms of Bo's situation when he left Oakland was tearing it down. And he was in, I think, the last year of his deal at that point, and was unsure if he wanted to stick around through another rebuild. And because of his and Billy Beane's great relationship, things were, kind of, talked about, and that's what left the door open for the Padres. Now, your question is a really valid one, is how much of anything did the Giants know of what is perceived to have gone down out here?
Yeah. They must have known. It seems to me they must have known something, because I don't think they would have asked even for permission otherwise.
When those articles come out, there's smoke at least, right? Regardless of whether you believe them or not.
True.
And that at least will allow you to have, hey, maybe
that's enough for the Giants perhaps to think, hey, wait a minute, maybe there's a crack here that we can exploit.
One potential manager just took his name off the board. Dusty Baker officially announcing retirement.
Good for Dusty, man. He got his title. He'll be a valuable asset to somebody because I know he wants to stay in the game, just not on the field. So there's a treasure trove of information.
Yeah, Bruce Bochy retired too.
He sure did.
And he's just preparing right now to manage in the World Series.
I think Baker's a little older, though.
He is a little older. Okay. It doesn't seem like Dusty Baker would listen to any offers at this point, but after everything that's happened, I think you can never say never, as the old saying goes.
It would have to be the most perfect situation of all situations for Dusty to come back for another 5.
He did walk back into an Astro situation that certainly was.
That wasn't perfect.
No, you're right.
That wasn't
perfect. He was also younger back then.
He was 71.
How old is he now?
He's like 75 now.
Oh, okay. Well, he's still got lots of time.
Yeah. Maybe he's tired.
You never know.
He might be a little tired. He might be tired. That's for sure.
We'll continue this conversation. Buster Olney, ESPN. We have him coming up next. So let's get to break and we'll get to Buster.
Previously on the John Cantera Show.
As far as Juan Soto, I would love to have him here. I mean, to be
down like this. Like this. Down 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 like this.
Dusty Baker will not be the next manager of the Padres, officially announcing his retirement just moments ago. Of course, earlier today, Bob Melvin did officially become the manager of the San Francisco Giants, something that didn't really seem too possible 3 weeks ago, but that has come to pass. AJ Preller on a Zoom meeting with the media today explaining and informing everybody that the Padres now will look forward to hiring a new manager, something that they hope to get done here in the very near future. But right now the Padres are managerless as the World Series gets set to start on Friday in Dallas or Arlington, with the Texas Rangers hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks, a World Series that absolutely nobody could have predicted. After all, the Rangers were no better than a pick for third place, I would say, in the AL West, and that would be pushing it a little. And the Diamondbacks were picked no better than fourth in the National League West. So who knows what is going to happen in baseball? That is what makes it so exciting. We are excited right now to be joined by ESPN's Buster Olney from Sunday Night Baseball and all of the other great things that Buster does at ESPN. Thanks so much for your time, Buster. Good to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Good to talk with you guys.
Thanks so much. Obviously, we'll start with Bob Melvin. A few days ago, he was manager of the Padres. Now he's the manager of the Giants. How does all this look to everybody on the outside looking in around baseball?
Well, folks with other teams were surprised when we got the initial announcement that Bob was going to continue as the Padres manager, because they had just been hearing the stories of the unhappiness. And they fully expected that, one way or another, Bob was going to be out of there, whether he was fired or, something like happened with the Giants worked out. As soon as the Giants moved on from Gabe Kapler, I was hearing from people right away, like, that's the guy that Farhan wants, is Bob Melvin, because he'd worked with him with the Athletics. And so there was a lot of anticipation of that. So initially when the Padres, were telling people that, we're going to move forward, there were people like, really? Like, given the degree of discord, and I've seen AJ's quotes from today where and I did not hear them, but I saw them where he basically was, we got along fine. I mean, that just is not at all reflective of what you heard during the course of the year, that it was an oil and water situation between AJ and Bob, and only those two guys really know who's responsible for that. They're the only ones who could figure it out. I think that's what Peter Seidler, when late in the year, he was there's certainly a lot of indication he wanted the two of them to work it out.
Yeah,
and it didn't happen. So we'll see what happens going forward. I had someone say to me that the other day with one of the teams that is still competing. There's one common denominator with all the manager turnover in San Diego, and that's AJ. So it'll be interesting to see what adjustments he makes going forward.
Buster, obviously the Padres begin their search now for a manager. How do you expect this kind of search to go? I would imagine if the word has gotten out in terms of Bob Melvin being unhappy, and you mentioned, the thought that the turnover and AJ may be the common denominator. How do you think the search will go outside the organization?
Yeah, and it might be a little bit be a lot like what happened with the Red Sox and the head of baseball operations, right? Where the Red Sox wanted to bring in a Mike Hazen. They wanted to talk to other people that had experience, including talking with Kim Ng. And they were turned down over and over and over by people who are like, Essentially, I think Brandon Gomes, for example, the general manager of the Dodgers, given a choice between being the head of baseball operations in the Red Sox or staying in place where they were saying no. There's too much too much uncertainty in that situation, or whatever the reasons were. But it was clear a lot of people were turning them down. I think that's probably to some degree what the Padres might bump into. Based on the stuff that I was seeing this year about the issues between Bob and AJ, which I think were fairly apparent early on after Bob joined the team. I think they really need someone who AJ has worked with in the past. He needs to pick somebody who's comfortable with him and his style, his level of intensity. And Mike Schilt knows him, and Ryan Flaherty knows him. And, given everything that went on this year, you want someone that you can feel like can foster some degree of togetherness within that clubhouse and pull guys together. Is that Flash? Is it Mike Schilt? I think those are the big questions for AJ as he moves forward. And I think AJ needs to, and I'd say this to him if he called me and asked me my opinion, like he has to figure out and do some quality control in what he does and ask the question. So I've had, these various people of various range of experiences, and they're walking away and they're not happy. And what can he do better in how he communicates and how he goes back and forth with the manager to make that situation better? Because it was ugly this year.
Buster Olney is with us. It was not pretty on the field. We definitely know that, Buster, although the Padres finished up only 2 games back of the Diamondbacks when it was all said and done. So go figure all of that. We were talking just during the last break here. Can all of this unrest affect the mind of somebody like a Juan Soto, or the mind of, people like that who are, going to be free agents or need contracts, et cetera? I mean, Blake Snell, et cetera, Josh Hader. I mean, can this kind of thing come back to bite the Padres in other ways?
It's possible. I think with, guys who have choices, maybe between, if you get a veteran, I don't have a name in particular. You get a veteran who has 3 choices and he wants to, go to a place where he feels good about the chance of winning after what happened this year. Maybe you're not feeling so good. But I think the number one question right now around the Padres is, where's their payroll going to be? Because that's going to dictate a lot. The bottom line is, if you're going to cut their payroll down from where they were, to, as Kevin Acee suggested, back, I think at the end of August, beginning of September, $200 million, that means significant change. Like, you can't keep necessarily a Juan Soto and along with a Manny Machado and a Bogarts and Darvish, and you can't fit all those contracts in. At some point, you got to start making choices if, in fact, they're going to bring the payroll down. If they're going to keep the payroll up, then I think that, Soto's going to evaluate all that. I would say this, too, that generally speaking, my experience is that players, for the most part, will take money at the highest dollar figure. Trey Turner was an exception, as you guys know. The Padres offered him more money than the Phillies, but he wanted to play with the Phillies. I thought that was the exception. It's more like CC Sabathia when he was a free agent.
Yeah.
The Angels offered him $100 million, the highest offer from any team in the state of California, and the Yankees offered him $161. I think CC held his nose and said, "Okay, I'll take the bigger contract." He felt the responsibility. You know what? He went there and he enjoyed it.
He did.
It turned out he signed extensions. He loved it. But I think it's the first question is, and I think everyone wants to know, is where is their payroll going to be? Because that's going to dictate so many of the decisions they have going forward.
Buster Olney joins us, ESPN, and Buster, you bringing up CC brings me right back to Juan Soto, because you're right. CC was not happy initially going to New York, but he ended up loving it, and now he makes his home there. Juan Soto's been here now for a season and a half, and he's had a great season last year. It wasn't his norm, but it still was a great season. Do you see him possibly staying here in San Diego, or is he destined to hit the free agent market and test the waters as a Boras client?
Well, and you Anthony, you absolutely framed it perfectly, because and I know that the vast majority of the Boras clients who get this close to free agency they're going to go and test the market.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions. Jared Weaver basically forcing his way back to the Angels, and Andrew Jones making a deal on the side with the Braves. It felt like, but for the most part, the Boris guys are going to go out and test the marketplace, and why wouldn't you? And I do think that he needs Soto needs a full year from beginning to end where he just dominates.
Yeah.
And it felt like as time went on, he was more comfortable. I will tell you from talking with executives of other teams, it's becoming an open question of, okay, what is is his comfort level really important to what he's going to bring to the table? Because there, as you remember, when he joined the Padres, it took a while for him to get going. Beginning of the year, he was putting pressure on himself. Well, if you're an executive in a big market, say New York, in Boston, you're asking the question. So if he comes here, is there going to be a period of adjustment? Is he necessarily someone who's going to like it here? What happens if he starts getting booed? What's the reaction from him? Those are now questions that sort of hang over him. It's not to say people don't respect his talent or don't think he can thrive, but I think that question is now attached to him moving forward.
Well, the Padres situation, soap opera rages on. Meanwhile, the World Series is coming up, and one of our former managers is once again in the World Series. It's really amazing, Bruce Bochy, and I'm sure you've heard all the same things that everybody else tells us, that his communication skills and his ability to make guys comfortable is second to none, and his ability to handle a bullpen. But Texas and Arizona can't possibly be a World Series that anybody predicted. Buster, what do you think of this matchup on the eve of the Fall Classic?
No, back in February, I put in a ticket in Vegas for that exact one. No, I'm just kidding. Good Lord. My line about the Diamondbacks has been, and I'm sure, Anthony, you did this when you guys won, where you'll hear players and managers when they win a championship, they go, no one believes in us. I mean, they could be the biggest prohibitive favorite ever, and that is the mantra you hear. Well, this is the first time in the history of sports it's actually true.
Yeah, right.
Where no one thought this team had a chance. And it wasn't like they won one series, right? They went through a gauntlet of these terrific teams. The Brewers with their pitching at the end, they dismissed them. They beat the Dodgers, first two games in Dodger Stadium. Then they beat the Phillies, who I think everybody thought they were the best team, left on the board. So they're in a great position. And the Rangers, you're talking about a team that, didn't look very promising at all. I was talking to Boch about this earlier in the year when, I said, when did you think that you guys might have a chance to be good? And he said, I thought our pitching, if DeGrom was healthy, that could be okay. And our offense, I thought, would be good. But then early in the year, they began to show signs of having a lot of depth in that lineup. And that's when he felt like they turned the corner. And it's so funny. They have such a distinct personality, which I think in some ways reflects Boch's personality. You remember, guys, early in the year when teams start doing these home run celebrations. And I don't mean to bang on these, but, teams are doing the homer hose and the helmets and the spikes and doing all those things in their dugout. And I called one of the Rangers players and I was like, what are you guys doing? He goes, you don't do that crap. Marcus Semien is such a great pro. Yeah. And Corey Seager is a great pro. Those guys set the tone, and DeGrom has that personality. Jordan Montgomery now is like that. Nathan Eovaldi. They're all these guys who are really serious about baseball. And that played out over the course of the year. And then, of course, you have Boch. The other day I was part of our coverage for the American League playoffs, and I was in Dallas and in Houston, and I looked at Boch the other day and I said, hey, boy, the Padres, looks like a Padres manager's kind of getting pushed out and going to the Giants. You ever heard of that before?
Yeah.
And he had this little grin on his face.
That's him.
He absolutely loves it there. And Chris Young, unlike a lot of front offices, general managers, when he hired Boch, he told him, hey, I'm bringing you in and you run the team. You run the pitching staff. You manage, as opposed to the micromanaging that we're seeing with a lot of teams coming down from the front offices.
It's no doubt about it that Boch is in a spot where there is a cohesive understanding of who's doing what and how is it going to go down. Buster, some great information, man. Appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us.
Okay, guys. Always fun to talk
Buster.
with you.
Thank you.
Buster Olney, ESPN. It made me think, like, when Farhan took over for the Giants, Boch was still there. They had some of their poorest seasons, and they got good when Kapler came in, like-minded. They saw they can kind of had some cohesion there. The Giants got good, and so Chris Young takes over for the Rangers. He brings in Boch, again, like-minded. Look where they're at. They're going to a World Series. So we'll see who ends up getting the World Series title. Diamondbacks, Rangers, game 1 Friday?
Yeah, this Friday, actually.
Friday,
They're not going to make us wait a week and a half. They're only going to make us wait a half of a week.
I'm sure that makes you pretty happy.
It doesn't make me happy that we're waiting as long as we are, honestly. Baseball's meant to be played all the time, but we'll wait until Friday night. We'll try to predict the World Series at some point, which I don't think anybody can honestly predict what's going to happen after everything that's taken place to this point. But Buster Olney with some really good insight on the Padres situation. And, it's amazing how right on Buster is on a lot of his comments, even though he's in a national, perch. He's not here in San Diego, but he seems to have a pretty good understanding, which tells me that everyone throughout baseball has a pretty good understanding of what's gone on here in San Diego.
Yeah, we saw Buster twice this year, I think.
Yeah.
He sounds like he's been in the San Diego media.
Yeah, he's on top of that for sure. There's no question. That's why he's one of the best in the business. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Daily Gambit is headed your way as we get set to kick off hour number 2. Some bad news for the 49ers as well. Mr. Red Jersey over there. Tell you about that as Gwynn and Chris keeps rolling.
97.3 The Fan.
3:01 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. Little Gwynn and Chris got a daily gambit to get through. Just have kind of been going over the news today that Bob Melvin is headed to the Giants and what that means for the Padres moving forward as they begin their managerial search, which starts, according to AJ Preller, today.
Immediately, I apologize for saying there's bad news for the 49ers because as soon as I said that, some bad news for the Dolphins popped up. So
Karma, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, karma came back to get me. The bad news for the 49ers is that Brock Purdy's in concussion protocol, and he's uncertain for the game against the Bengals.
Was that the reason for his play last week? He was concussed?
Fans
Maybe
are saying
so.
it because after he took the hit, he threw the 2 interceptions.
Oh,
Could be.
Yeah, of course.
Bad news for the Dolphins is that wide receiver Tyreek Hill missed practice today with a hip injury.
Oh, he'll be fine.
Miami needs more injuries because they don't have enough right now. They've got 3 offensive linemen, 2 cornerbacks, and a star rookie running back all on the injured list. Hopefully Tyreek Hill does not join them. As far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Yeah, no, you're gonna need Tyreek Hill.
Gonna definitely need him.
He's a pretty important piece there.
Yeah, they seem to throw to him often.
You think?
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
he's usually open too.
The way the one touchdown pass they threw last week when he ran by the double team, I'm talking ran by a double team. That means there's someone on top, there's someone below. He ran by both individuals clean. Like
he seems to do that once per game at least. And
if you he's one of those, you take the wrong angle, it's over.
It is over, and he's in the end zone doing some crazy celebration. But, NFL Week 8 will kick off tomorrow. We're going to have our NFL picks later on in the show because Tony is on the eve of a little break.
Yeah.
Got a couple of days off, which you are unbelievably deserve. I don't believe you've taken a break since the end of the baseball season.
I have not.
So
short break.
You'll be taking a short break for a couple of days, so we'll get our NFL picks in a little bit later today.
Skraby, you ready for some daily gambit there, buddy?
You know, I have some other news that I don't think is going to make us happy at all.
Any of us?
Anybody who likes the Padres.
Okay, here you go. Go ahead.
Juan Soto apparently, he hasn't done this, but the Padres and the Yankees have had preliminary talks on trades for Juan Soto, according to SNY.
According to who?
SNY, the
Sports New York.
Oh, sure. I mean, I know what was SNY. I didn't know what it was.
Sports New York.
Like his Yes Network, his Yankees Entertainment System Squad, something like that.
Don't know.
System.
Don't know.
Yankee Entertainment subsidiaries?
Not sure. Wait, so they're saying that there has been preliminary. Who's reporting this? SNY?
Yeah, let me get it back up now.
What is
I don't like this news right after.
What does that package look like?
I don't know.
It might look pretty
Aaron
good.
Judge.
They got the young kid that came up. That's like, the next big thing.
Yeah, Dominguez. I
Dominguez,
believe his name was.
Andy Martino is reporting.
Okay.
Andy Martino.
Yeah, he's actually he's a very plugged in reporter.
Plugged in.
I think Chris was going to go the other way for a second.
No, I have no idea. Jason Dominguez, Jason probably, 2 S's in there. Well, there's 2 S's, so I pronounced it a little differently just for fun. Hit 4 home runs and 31 at bats. I'm not saying that he would be in the package, but that would be somebody I would be interested in. Yeah,
shoot.
He's reporting that it will have to be the right deal. Obviously,
we don't need another shortstop, so Volpe
wouldn't be involved.
Shouldn't be involved.
Who else? I mean, Garrett Cole. He's starting pitching.
He's not coming.
I think Dominguez is probably your guy.
That's where you start.
Center fielder, 4 home runs and 31 at bats. Going to be a huge star, or at least everybody says that.
Rizzo.
Anthony
Rizzo.
We have a first baseman, and we had Rizzo one time.
Yes.
Remember that?
I was just saying because he's a Yankee, and we're talking about Yankees that could come back.
Well, I would think
it
would be Dominguez, and I think it would be a bunch of other prospects. I mean, if you could get a center fielder, you'd take care of that Grisham situation. Of course, you'd have a hole in left field because you'd be trading Juan Soto. So maybe you can find somebody there.
I'm not a fan of change. And there's a lot of change happening right now.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a fan of Juan Soto.
No, you don't
not
want
being
that.
in a Padre uniform, but
No.
it may be inevitable.
Where there's smoke, there's fire,
Yeah,
Tony.
yeah,
Where there's smoke,
yeah.
there's fire.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with this.
Skraby, take us to the Daily Gambit, buddy.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. If you're watching the cameras right now, you will be enjoying something that Tony is doing.
Skraby thinks I care that you guys see me eat. I don't care.
He was eating fries like
I was eating fries like anybody eats a fry.
You went all the way back and you went like,
no.
At least the guy's French fries are cooked, unlike you who eats frozen fries.
French fries.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Why do you walk into this stuff so easily?
There's nothing wrong with it.
He so wanted to make a big deal about me eating French fries.
I did,
He's like,
oh,
gross.
Yeah.
I did say gross.
Yeah, Tony eats. So do I. So does everybody listening. So do you, apparently.
I'll extricate myself from the situation, and I will start with this. Philadelphia, if you're going to bet on a Philadelphia team to win a Game 7, don't.
Yeah,
because they have now
well.
lost 7 consecutive Game 7s. The Sixers have 4, the Flyers have 2, and the Phillies have 1. That's the longest Game 7 losing streak by a metro area in MLB, and NBA, and NHL history.
Oh, my goodness. The Phillies, had never played in a Game 7 before last night, which is really surprising.
So they're 0-1 in Game 7.
Yeah,
Tom.
they've been around since the 1800s. That was their first ever Game 7, but
that's crazy.
Didn't go their way. Surprisingly so.
Diamondbacks preseason World Series odds plus 12,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like to have a piece of that.
Yes. And Rangers preseason odds plus 5,000.
Yeah. Neither team was expected.
I'll get to this in just a second, but the Padres, there are odds out next for the Padres' next manager. So we'll get to that in a second. Chris, I'll just tell you Buck Showalter is on the list.
Oh, good.
Wouldn't that be the greatest thing ever, Tony? If Buck Showalter becomes the new manager, then Chris has to face him.
Yeah, it would be awkward.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, what we did last night.
I don't think it would be awkward. I just go up and tell him that I think he stinks.
I don't
think you would.
I don't think you would.
So at spring training, you're going to be sitting there doing an interview with him. You'll be like, Buck,
I don't like you. Yeah, I don't like the fact that you checked Musgrove's ears.
Just give me a fair warning that you're going to do that.
I'll let you know.
I will have 7 cameras on this.
I will let you know.
All right. Last night, the Nuggets played the Lakers to open up the NBA season. The Nuggets were 5-point favorites in the game. Chris and Tony chose the Lakers. I chose the Nuggets. The Nuggies won by 12, 119-107.
Your boy is under heat already.
He should be.
Anthony Davis.
I'm going to need more than 0 points in the second half.
Did not score in the second half, had 1 rebound in the first half.
So he's making like $62 million per minute.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to believe that he did not score at all in the second half.
I mean, he looked so good in the first half, like effortless. And then the second half, I didn't even realize he didn't score until they flashed it up.
Yeah,
0.
That's pretty hard to believe for a guy.
Especially if LeBron's only going to be playing 28 minutes a night.
And LeBron said it's your team. I mean,
Come on, bro.
If it's your team, you got to score something.
I love you, Una, but
Una.
I'm gonna need at least 10 more in the second half. Come
Maybe
on,
2 more.
I'll start with 2.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, get on the board.
The Warriors and the Suns closed it out last night, and we bet on the total score of the game over under 234.5 points. We all went under, and we were all correct in this one. It was 108, 104, 212 total there. Brandon fought the pitcher for the Diamondbacks over under 11.5 outs in the game last night. We all went under, and he told us to give him our money because he went 12. I was going to say I was going to say something else and realize I was on the radio and I can't say that.
Yeah.
But it was over at 11.5 outs. He went 4 innings, so 12 outs.
Yeah, it was close, but it looked like Torey Lovello might take him out there at the end of the 4th inning, but he left him for one more hitter, and he got that guy out.
Brandon Pfaadt's had a pretty good postseason.
He has, man. I'm telling you, because these dudes who may have struggled during the regular season have had either some big moments or have had a lot of success in the postseason. So often you see that translate the following year into them becoming, just good big leaguers.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of young dudes too. I mean, was Alec Thomas struggled during the season.
Yep.
Went sit down. Now all of a sudden this dude's hit 2 of the biggest homers in his career.
Yeah, he's got 4 homers in the postseason. He's played well.
All right. Now we go to the Vegas Knights against the Flyers, the Golden Knights, I should say. They were -1.5. They were -1.5 on the puck line. Tony and Chris, I almost said Chris. Never mind.
Ooh, we're gonna need that on an open right there.
Tony and Chris chose Philadelphia, and I chose Vegas. Vegas did win, but they only won by 1 goal, so 3-2.
They had to scramble to get back because they were down too.
Vegas was.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're down
Tony
2-1.
with the update on the
I told you I was going to watch a little more hockey this year.
Wow.
Tony told me he might even go see a Vegas hockey game on this little trip he's going on.
Oh, they're going to be at home?
Yeah.
You should. I think that's kind of awesome.
Did that get doused already?
No. It's on the cusp of being doused.
On the cusp of being doused.
Are you guys going to go see like Carrot Top instead?
Definitely not going. I'm going to see that Sphere. I know that. I want to see that.
Carrot Top's funny, man. I think Carrot Top's very funny.
Woods went to this.
I would go see him.
I heard his show is actually pretty good.
Carrot Top, I have heard the same thing. So
Woods went to Vegas a couple weeks ago and he put up a video.
He went to
of
a concert.
Yeah. I think it was U2 maybe.
Yeah, it was.
And it looked awesome.
Spectacular.
The Sphere?
Yeah.
Yes. Chris and I tried to go to the Sphere,
oh my
but
gosh,
it was broken.
you guys know who owns the Sphere?
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. James Dolan.
So James Dolan couldn't sell the patches for 30 million. So he'll just pay himself because the Sphere is the patch on the New York Knicks.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
Good
That's
for
not
him.
bad.
That is,
I just wish it was a better person that owned it.
Right. I was like, why are they putting the Knicks starting lineup on the Sphere? I can't understand this. And
now it all makes sense.
It makes sense now.
Yeah.
Last one we did was Liberty University and Western Kentucky college football last night. Western Kentucky 5-point underdogs in the game. Chris and Tony chose Liberty. I chose Western Kentucky, and I lost. Liberty won 42-29.
Liberty.
They're 7-0 now, I believe.
Yes, they are. Tony and I didn't choose just Liberty. We chose Liberty and or death.
That's right. I forgot to write that
peace.
in.
Yeah.
Forgot to write that one.
Correct, sir.
I have one thing that I wanted to bring up, but we kind of already talked about it. So give me a second here.
Skraby's not prepared.
I know it's a link that's just not opening. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Someone did bet on the Diamondbacks to win the World Series plus 10,000. They bet $10,000.
Wow.
The Diamondbacks win the World Series. This person wins $1.01 million.
I mean, the fact that he had $10,000 to spend on the Diamondbacks
probably doesn't need it, but that's a big bet.
Probably means he's got a stash.
I hope he doesn't need it.
Under the category of betting responsibly, that does not fit.
Yeah, that does not fit.
Betting the Diamondbacks to win the World Series.
And one last one. If you were to pick before the year this exact matchup for the World Series, and you have the Arizona Diamondbacks as the winner, you would get plus 17,500. So it's not that great for picking both teams in the World Series, but if the Texas Rangers win, you get plus 15,000. So I thought those bets where you have to select the exact thing that happens, I feel like they should pay off a little bit better, but they just don't.
No, that's why you shouldn't do them in the first place.
That's why they're stupid.
Chris, the reasonable one over there.
Yes.
All right, Chris.
All right, here we go for tonight. The NBA season kicks into full gear, and of course that means the Bulls are in action tonight, Tony. They will host the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Let's make sure Zach has a nice night today.
Season opener for Zach LaVine and the boys. Oklahoma City's not bad, not great. Bulls are a 2.5-point favorite in this game on their home floor. I'll start and obviously take the Bulls. Tony? I don't feel great about it, but I got to support my club.
OKC got a nice little squad.
That's what
here.
I've been hearing.
It won't hurt my feelings.
I'm going to take the Vets. I'm going to take the Vets and the Bulls.
You're going to take the Bulls on opening night?
No, I'm not. I'm going to take OKC.
Changing. All right. We'll see if that costs you. Skraby?
I wish I was the contrarian, but I'm going with Tony and going Oklahoma City
with the 2.5 points. Okay. Clippers home to the Portland Trailblazers tonight. 226 points is the over-under for this game. Tony, you're first. Over in this game. Okay. Skraby?
I'm just going to continue what we did last night, under.
Yeah, I'm going to go under also, based on the fact that it's the first game and it takes a little while to warm up. It's that time of week again, guys. College football.
Action.
Sam Houston State is in action. The Bearcats, I believe they are. Sam Houston State will host UTEP.
With a K.
Yeah, with a K.
The Bearcats are a 3.5-point favorite in this game. I don't know that they've won a game yet, but they're favored over UTEP.
UTEP just played in a bowl game against the Aztecs a few years ago.
Your pick, Skraby.
Oh, great. I'm going to look up UTEP football real quick.
Going to look up UTEP football.
I just
got
the
first person to do that.
we
recorded history.
We can't find it.
Yeah. Their record, I think they're about 500, UTEP.
They're 2-6.
They're about 2-6 then. Who do you like here?
Sam Houston State hasn't won a game, right?
I don't know. You're looking at UTEP's record. You should be able to find the other one.
You can find the other one.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
buddy.
it's right there. 0-7.
All right.
You know what? I'm going with the Bearcats with the K for the win. First win of the year.
With a winless team and you're giving points.
It's -2.5, right?
-3.5.
Oh, never mind. I'm going UTEP to take down the Bearcats.
Come on. You're messing up my sheet here.
That's what I strive
So I got to keep changing it. All right, just for that, I'm going to take Sam Houston State. They got to win one game this year. Maybe tonight's the night. Tony, who do you like here?
I'm going with UTEP.
UTEP plus the 3.5. All right, and one NHL game. It's the only game on the board tonight. Washington Capitals, New Jersey Devils. Over under 6 goals total. Just for some informative before you make your bet, New Jersey's averaging 4 goals per game. Washington, in 5 games, has scored a total of 7 goals.
Oh, wow.
So they're off to a very bad start.
Where's Ovechkin?
He's obviously not doing
He's
lighting
getting
the
up there
lamp
in
yet.
age, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer he can keep producing. So anyway, this sounds like an under to me because the Capitals can't score, so I'll say under. Tony? 6 goals total in the game. Over, under. Over, he says. Skraby?
I'm going to
wait, no, I'm going under.
Oh, my God. I saw every pick that was been made.
Sorry.
I'm going to go. The floodgates are opening for the Capitals tonight. So
All
I'm going to
right.
go over.
We're going to go over.
Yeah.
Okay. There's our selections for this evening. I believe I've got so much chicken scratch on my paper here. I can't read them, but
sorry,
we'll do our best to break it all down for you in the Daily Gambit segment tomorrow.
Let's jump to break. More Gwynn and Chris on the way. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Lowe's. Start your afternoon.
Mr. Skraby and Daily Gambit's in the books. Thanks also earlier to Buster Olney. If you missed any part of that interview, you can always go back to our webpage at 973thefansd.com. Buster had some great insight, great comments on the Padres mess that continues to be at hand here. No manager for the Padres, but the Giants have one. If you're just tuned in, Bob Melvin officially became manager, skipper, as it were, of San Francisco. Was introduced at a press conference earlier today. AJ Preller had his own press conference, a Zoom call with the media here in San Diego, and as expected, said very little other than to point out that the Padres need to start moving forward and looking ahead to the process of hiring a new manager. We'll probably play some more of AJ's comments as the program continues. You know, just a little behind the scenes, which I think is funny here at the Odyssey Palace. We have a refrigerator, kitchen area, the whole thing.
Oh, no.
The ice maker has never worked here. And if you guys know me, you know that I am a fan of ice in my drinks, a lot of ice.
I'm with you on that.
And so the ice maker doesn't work. JR, who is our head engineer here,
my guy.
Be careful where we're going, because he is the guy who helps us when we need help.
Yes, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus here. He went out and bought a bunch of ice and put it in the freezer.
Because the ice machine doesn't work.
Because the ice machine doesn't work. He neglected to tell anybody that the ice was only for him. So people like me, and I imagine others, were using JR's ice. Well, come to pass, a few weeks ago, JR put a stern warning note in the freezer that says, "This is my ice. Do not take my ice. This is not community ice." And it's this big, huge page in the freezer. Well, here's the final analysis of it. I went out and bought my own ice. I got my own bag in there now.
You got your own sign?
I got my own bag.
Yes.
I don't have a sign. I don't have a sign on my bag. So if you want to steal some ice, steal it from my bag. But the funny thing to me now is I went in there just a little bit ago. There's now 4 different bags of ice in there.
Everybody went and bought
so
their
I'm
own
assuming
bag.
everybody's gone out and bought their own bag of ice.
I love that.
Great.
It's
That's
really
great.
hilarious.
He got the point across. Didn't
He
have
got
to
the
speak
point
to
across.
anybody.
No, nobody steals JR's ice, but everybody's got their own bag of ice now in the freezer.
4 bags of ice.
It's hilarious to me, but that's
pretty
kind of
hilarious.
what's taking place here.
Real quick, I did forget to do something that I said I was going to do, and that would be give you the next Padres manager odds.
Oh, right.
I didn't do that. So
what do you
really
have
quick.
there? What do you have there?
Plus 500 goes to, and the highest, or I guess the lowest odds on the board, Ryan Flaherty, plus 500. Mike Schilt, plus 600. We could take Dusty off the list. Ruben Niebla, we've never even talked about him for manager, plus 800.
I would talk about him as staying as pitching coach one way or the other.
They did talk about that in the press conference, and it sounds like AJ really wants him to stay. Like, that's
Is contract up too?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think they
I
were
hope
asking in the regards of, like, is he going to go with Bob to...
Ruben is special, man. The way
I thought he did
the way the pitchers
done a tremendous job,
gravitate towards him, and he has their ear. That's not a dude you want to let go of.
You got Joe Espada, plus 900. Here we go, Chris. Buck Showalter, plus 1,000.
That's where I'm putting my money.
Craig Counsell's on the list at plus 1,000.
Yeah.
Gabe Kapler, plus 1,200.
Gabe Kapler, that would be interesting. A managerial trade.
That would be
in other
interesting,
words.
but I could see Gabe Kapler working in San Diego.
I can't.
You can't?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Skip Schumacher is on the list as well, plus 1,400.
Well, I think that's an interesting name. Now, the Padres would have to get permission from the Marlins, right, to
This is
start
like
talking to him.
Coach's merry-go-round
Yeah,
right here?
I
Like,
guess.
you're just leaving teams?
I did read somewhere that Skip and the Marlins staff were not too pleased
I
at
bet.
Kim Ng
Let me tell you,
dropping out as general manager there. So there could be a crack open to Skip Schumacher. Who knows?
and I know for a fact Skip hates being away from his family, which lives here in
there
California.
you go. What are the odds on Skip?
Plus 1,400.
That might be a
good
place
money
to
right
throw a
there.
few bucks. Yeah.
I will say I know because when we went to Miami, it was or they came here late. I think it was. Yeah, Miami came here late, and there is a story out about Kimming, and some people in the industry saying she's hard to work with. And I asked Skip about it. And because the one thing I do know is that when you are in an organization that has been mediocre at best,
right?
People who are driven to win may rub people the wrong way. Doesn't mean
because people are used to losing.
Exactly.
Right.
And that was one sentiment that he expressed as I asked him about it was, listen, not everybody's comfortable with driving a hard bargain and towards winning.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, that Skip would obviously, and he has familiarity with the organization now.
I think that's a great idea, guys.
I have one more. Mark DeRosa plus 2,000.
USA
Mark DeRosa.
USA
United
States
Team
USA manager.
Team USA
manager. Yeah.
Although they didn't win, but
no, they did not.
They came close. Phil Nevin's on here. Matt Williams, AJ Hinch is on here somehow. I thought he was with the Tigers.
He is.
Ryan Christensen is the final candidate on the list, plus 3,300.
Can you bet the field?
Doesn't
As
have it
in
here.
picking somebody else who's not on the list?
Might be a good chance. I mean, there are a lot of people on the list, like Don Mattingly, Mark Pryor.
That's a long list.
Carlos Beltran is on the list.
Yeah, I don't think Carlos is getting on
Eric Chavez.
Is Ron Washington on the list?
He is plus 2,200. Who's Johnny Washington?
He's the former hitting coach here.
Okay, that's
he's
what
with
I
the
thought.
Cubs right now.
Okay, plus 1,800. So he's higher than Ron Washington.
Well, his name was in that top 6 list that I brought up yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
In the Athletics. So
that's
I think turnabout's fair play, and I think we ought to steal Skip Schumacher from the Marlins.
On the chat, we have Yadier Molina.
Okay.
Yadi. Okay.
I don't know that he wants to manage, or has he said he wants to manage?
I haven't heard that. But
Well, let's be honest about it. The betting list is not. It's not. AJ Preller's not required to choose somebody because there's a list of people that you're betting on.
I think he should take a look at the odds and
and act accordingly.
And go, yeah, okay, this guy's plus 800. I can consider him a little bit more.
Him.
Never mind.
All right, that was a quick segment that went a little longer than we hoped it would, but thank you, Skraby. That's informative. We'll take a quick timeout. I'll go get some more ice, and
Your
Gwynn and
ice.
Chris will. Yeah, my ice, which is one of 4 bags in the Odyssey Palace freezer, and Gwynn and Chris will continue after that.
Gwynn and Chris on the Fan.
Tony and I were saying the fans, they've given you a lot of credit for this. I mean, you become kind of
Matthew Skraby, we have a Rate the Radio call. Not a Rate the Radio call. We have Rate the Radio call. You were doing this. Does that mean no traffic?
Oh, no. I was mad at Chris's camera because every time Chris leaves the room, it points towards the door and it never comes back.
It's still pointed towards the door, huh?
Chris, you want to wait?
I had to go get ice. I'm sorry.
Well, can
He
you
did
wave
tell
at it
you
or
that he had
So
to.
what do you want me to do?
When we get into traffic, I'll go do it. No.
Let's get to traffic.
That's
really?
That's the version of Chris. Do not go near anything that has anything to do with technology or wires. Yeah.
All right. Traffic, Rate the Radio call after that.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max, San Diego's highest rated heating and air conditioning company. Got a collision in the clearing stage on southbound 5 right before the 15. Those vehicles are over to the right shoulder. Watch out for some debris in middle lanes on eastbound 8 right before 7. Looking for the best in HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest rated heating and air company with free diagnostics on all repairs and estimates. See why over 1,100 happy customers have given Air Max 5-star Yelp reviews. See Air Max today at airmax.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
From the really, really good
Back to the wall. It's gone. Home run, Garvey, and there will be tomorrow.
to the really, really bad.
Wide open. He throws. It's caught. Nixon streaking down the sideline to the 20. Gets a block from Chase and runs it into the end.
We got some radio calls. Gwynn and Chris are going to rate them.
The right-handed hitter back in there. Strasburg ready to go.
It's Rate the Radio Call.
The 1-2 pitch slider. Strike 3 called. A no-hitter.
On 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Rate the Radio call is something where I play some of the calls throughout the week on the radio, and the guys are going to rate them between 1 and 10 on information delivery, excitement, all of that stuff. And we have some playoff baseball calls that we're going to play here.
These are radio calls?
These are radio calls. I also have a college football call that I want to start with, if I can find it. There it is. Now, it would be North Carolina at home, Virginia, the 1-5 Virginia Cavaliers taking on the 6-0 North Carolina Tar Heels. Virginia is leading 31-27. Very little time to go in the fourth quarter. Here is the Virginia Radio Network.
Snap comes, knee high. May staying in the pocket. Hit as he throws, and it is picked off. Did he get it? It's picked off. Virginia got it. James Jackson. James Jackson. Holy wahoo. They're going to do it. Paul Akiri on the presser. The first top 10 road win in program history.
Are they like where
are they broadcasting it?
They must have been broadcasting from the University of Virginia alumni tailgate.
Seriously, that was so strange at the end there, but that was the call. Apparently, John Freeman is the play-by-play man on that one. Tony, you're up first. 1 to 10, rate that radio call.
Can I hear one more time?
Yes, you may.
Snap comes, knee high. May staying in the pocket. Hit as he throws, and it is picked off. Did he get it? It's picked off. Virginia got it. James Jackson. James Jackson.
First of all, Chris, do you think the play-by-play guy was yelling James Jackson because he kept getting yelled over and he just was like, I'm just going to stick with James Jackson.
I'm going to stick with James Jackson until this guy next to me shuts up.
I'll give the call itself a 7.
Okay.
But then I got to subtract about 3
for
my
other
man.
guy?
Like, yes! Yes! Yeah. He gets a 4. Sorry.
All right. I'm seeing a comment on this call right here from an ex person saying, I get goosebumps every time I watch this video.
Goosebumps.
The opposite
for that?
for me.
Yeah. I'd start with a 4 and take away 3 for the yelling. Get it down to a 1. There was no explanation of anything that happened on this play other than the quarterback going back. I believe he got hit, and I think that James Jackson intercepted it, but I'm not really sure. He never really said so.
You're right.
He said James Jackson a bunch of times, and he said that the Yahoo are going to win. And then there was a bunch of alumni reaction in the background of people screaming. And having babies back there.
Having babies.
Yeah, it was a wild scene there at
I believe it was
North
like
Carolina, but
name and logo. That's what I heard in the background.
Similar. Yeah, very similar. So yeah, I give it a 1. The call itself wasn't very good, and the guy yelling over it is an automatic subtraction of 3.
Okay. Now we go to the baseball playoffs, and this one comes from Game 6, top of the 9th. Adolis. I pronounce this guy's name wrong all the time. It's Adolis, right?
Yes.
Adolis Garcia at the plate, Texas Rangers radio.
1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch. Adolis swings and hits a high drive to deep left field. That ball is way back, and that ball is history. Adolis Garcia clears him off with a grand slam after 4 consecutive strikeouts. Not quite the celebration he had 2 days ago, but another slow jog around the bases as Adolis has broken this ball game wide open. It's 9-2.
Chris?
Adolis.
Yeah,
Chris, 1 to 10.
I always call him Adolis. I'm nowhere near it. That was a pretty solid call. It wasn't anything special, especially being as it all but forced a Game 7. I mean, it clinched Game 6 for the Rangers. It had been a very tense game all night long. Texas was trying to hang on to a 1-run lead, a 2-run lead, and then the grand slam should have been a huge sense of relief for all Ranger fans. I didn't get that sense from that broadcaster there. So the call was very, very vanilla, lacking emotion. I give it a 6.
A 6. Tony, 1 to 10, rate that radio call.
He stole my grade, so I'm gonna give him 6.5.
Oh, he gets
a little more.
Yeah, no, he it was a solid call. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, now we go to the final call for the Rangers that clinched their way to the World Series. So here's Game 7, Rangers Radio Network.
And the Astros are down to their final strike. Leclerc ready now. 1-2 pitch. Ground ball. Second base. Simeon's got it. On to first to Nate Lowe. And hello, World Series. The Rangers have won their 3rd American League pennant. They stream out of the dugout and are jumping up and down between the mound and first base. For the first time since 2011, the Rangers are going to the World Series after having 6 consecutive losing seasons. What an amazing year this has been. And there's more baseball to be played.
Tony, 1 to 10, rate that radio call.
Kind of the same way. I'll give it a 7, just based off the fact that after hearing 2 calls, that just may be his style.
Yeah.
It may be he doesn't get worked up like, some of the other broadcasters. So I'll give this one a 7.
Chris, 1 to 10.
Yeah, I think he ought to get worked up. Honestly,
pretty big moment.
The Rangers are going to the World Series. I mean, this is stunning development here. You don't have to prepare something before a game for a potential World Series winning call. And I don't know how many broadcasters would actually prepare something because you don't want to make it sound like you're reading something. But I think you got to think it through a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to have a little something in mind in case we win tonight and we're going to the World Series. I got to make this somewhat memorable. That is not a call I'm going to ever want to listen to again, even if I'm a Ranger fan. It was so dull. So 5.
All right. Now we go to the Diamondbacks and the Phillies last night. Ginkel came on in the bottom of the 8th inning. He had to work out some. Was he in trouble or did he
inherited 2 runners?
That's right. Okay, so he ended up striking out the side, and this would be the 3rd and final strikeout of the inning.
The pitch on the way, and he struck him out swinging. Kevin Ginkel fans the side in the Philadelphia 8th. The fans are booing here at Citizens Bank Park.
That's as much as I could get out of that one.
Let me hear that again.
The pitch on the way, and he struck him out swinging. Kevin Ginkel fans the side in the Philadelphia 8th. The fans are booing here at Citizens Bank Park.
That was the Diamondbacks Radio Network. Chris, 1 to 10, rate that radio call.
Well, it's a little short, so it's hard to give it a full rating. The only thing I would have thrown in there was that it was a slider. If he could have put that in there, maybe he couldn't tell what the pitch was, although Ginkel's slider moves so much, it would almost be impossible not to notice it. I give it a 6. I mean, 7 maybe. It's not his fault that everybody's booing in the background, which takes away some of the enthusiasm. You're obviously on the road. The Philly fans are upset because that kind of snuffed out their final rally. I'll give him a 7. but I didn't hear enough to go any higher.
All right, Tony, 1 to 10, rate that radio call.
Yeah, 7. I mean, it's tough because it was short. He didn't get a chance to kind of expand on what happened there, what the scene looks like. He was kind of cut short there. So,
all right, good, because I have a better call.
Good. I look forward to hearing your better call.
This is the final call of the game last night. Diamondbacks up 4-2, trying to do something that no one thought they could do. So hopefully there's a good call on the other side of this. Diamondbacks Radio Network.
Here's the pitch. And a fly ball, right field. Going over is Corbin Carroll. He's under it. He's got it. And the 2023 Arizona Diamondbacks are headed to the World Series for the second time in their 26-year history. They have upset the Philadelphia Phillies. They come back after losing the first 2 games here in Philadelphia. They went 4 of the last 5, the last 2 here at Citizens Bank Park. And they beat the Phillies 4-3, winning tonight's game by a final score of 4-2. And the celebration is on the field for the Diamondbacks.
All right, Tony, 1 to 10, rate that radio call.
That gets a 9 for me. Shout out to Greg Schultz because he's retiring at this end of this year, the voice of the Diamondbacks, and to be able to go out in a World Series that I know for a fact, having had multiple conversations that he did not see coming. That's pretty cool.
Who
right?
did?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool for your last season to go this way, but solid call. I thought the right amount of emotion there, and 9.
All right, Chris, rate that radio call.
I don't know, Greg, so I can be a little more critical, and I totally get Tony feeling for this guy in his final season, but I didn't think it was the right amount of emotion. I thought it was a little lacking, although I give the Philly fans a 10 for booing during the entire call. I mean, they were so upset that this. I mean, those Philadelphia fans, nothing can beat them. I mean, there was just you could hear the tone of a boo during the entire call. But I'm gonna only give them a 7 because I don't think it's a memorable call. I don't think it's something I'm gonna remember as a Diamondback fan. I thought it was pretty straightforward. I would have liked to have seen or heard that Corbin Carroll was running toward the foul line to make the catch, so I could picture it a little better in my mind. I didn't get that either. So. Sorry, Greg. Happy retirement.
It's the Simon Cowell of the show.
Yes,
so take your retirement and shove it is basically what it's like.
Get somebody Greg in there who can make a accurate and exciting call.
All right, final one. This is the Vikings Radio Network. This is Jordan Addison catching a 60-yard touchdown on Monday night.
Oh, Cousins fires over the middle, and it is caught by Addison. 20-10 touchdown. Time, Jordan Addison stole it from Charvarius Ward, and it's a 60-yard touchdown.
Chris, 1 to 10, rate that radio call.
Well, now Paul Allen is a friend of mine. I used to work with him in Pasadena, and he's now the voice of the Vikings. And I'm not giving him a 10 because he left a whole lot out. I don't know where.
A lot more that happened on this play than what he told us.
Yeah, he left a lot out. I mean, I remember the play. I mean, I don't know where the pass went. I don't know how far down the field it was when he caught it. I don't know that he pulled the ball free until after the fact. That ball looked like an interception the entire way if I was looking at it live, and I didn't hear any of that. I heard a hesitation, then he's got a touchdown. I don't know what yard line he caught it on. I don't know what kind of pattern it was. So Paul left out a whole bunch of stuff there just to make sure that he yelled touchdown at the end. So I give him a 4.5. Sorry, Paul.
Tony, 1 to 10. Wow, that is.
I'm being really.
This whole Bob Melvin thing has him beside himself.
Somebody ruined my Wheaties today. What can I tell you?
Ruined my Wheaties.
Well, I have another phrase for that, but I didn't think it would go over too well.
Good call, though.
That was a good ad-lib right there.
Good call. Tony, 1 to 10.
I'm going to give it a 7.
All right.
Good call.
Little nice.
All right. Chris versus the fans next. 833-288-0973. We'll see what happens with Chris's Wheaties next.
like this. Down 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 like this.
Through a Wednesday get-together here on San Diego's #1 sports talk station. That would be 97.3 The Fan. It's Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., and, of course, Matt Skraby together in our Odyssey Palace studios. You can watch the proceedings on the YouTube and just Search for 97.3 The Fan SD, and you can tune in and watch the show streaming live every afternoon now on 97.3 The Fan. You can also watch it on Twitter or X, whatever the case may be, or Facebook, or what's the other word for Facebook nowadays? Meta. Yeah, wherever you got to get your entertainment from, we'll be there, so you can watch and or listen to Gwynn and Chris as we're into our, I guess, about second week here of being on the stream.
Is this week 2?
Yeah, this is week 2 already, Tony. Time flies when you're having a good time. Padres, I don't know if they're having a good time right now, but they are navigating some murky waters. Bob Melvin officially became the manager of the San Francisco Giants today. AJ Preller did a Zoom call with San Diego media. We carried the press conference, as it were, here on 97.3 The Fan earlier today. AJ Preller, I think, there's not a whole lot he can say other than to try to gloss over what has happened here. He's trying to get everybody to focus on the managerial search, which is what the Padres say they're focused on now. Moving forward, Mike Schilt and Ryan Flaherty appear to be the leading candidates, but some other interesting names have come up. One that we kind of like around here is Skip Schumacher, who is said to be less than ecstatic in Miami after the departure there of his general manager, Kim Ng. Maybe the Padres do what was done to them and ask for permission to talk to a manager, bring him back to San Diego. Schumacher did a hell of a job. Probably going to be manager of the year in the National League, I would think, for the Marlins. If he's not the winner, he's certainly going to be right there when they announce the award winners at the end of this season. So
he's had a terrific year.
Yes, he did. Did a really good job. I know, Tony, you're really a fan of Skip Schumacher, and just getting to know him as a bench coach here in San Diego. It seems like he would hopefully he'd be able to get along with AJ Preller. He certainly knows AJ, and could work a little more closely and in a better manner than it appears that AJ Preller worked with Bob Melvin.
Skip is cut from that cardinal cloth,
right?
So I mean, even though he's young, if the things that we read about continue, I don't know that Skip would be the greatest candidate for that as well.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, and that's what we brought up earlier. Whoever takes this job is going to have to get along better with AJ Preller than Bob Melvin did, or Bob Melvin apparently and reportedly did. The World Series is set. It is a World Series that, come on now, be honest, nobody could have predicted. Arizona, the 6th seed, advances out of the National League for the second year in a row as the Diamondbacks upend the Phillies last night 4-2. They'll take on Bruce Bochy's Rangers in the Fall Classic. That'll start Friday. I thought the turning point of the series, Tony, was obviously, after Game 5 and heading into Game 6, and the Diamondbacks decided to throw caution to the wind and just start running. They only stole one base in the first 5 games of the series, and we know that they were an excellent base running team all year long. They pushed the envelope. They took some chances, and it paid off for them. But in this series, they were strangely quiet on the base pass.
I remember how irritated you were that Corbin Carroll had gotten on twice.
Right.
And didn't go anywhere.
In games 1 and 2.
Yeah,
and a lot of Diamondback fans kind of said the same thing. But games 6 and 7, my goodness, the Diamondbacks ran wild. They stole 4 bases last night, and they stole 5 bases the game before that in game 6. So 9 stolen bases in the last 2 games. And it really was the stolen base that set up the winning run.
Yes, it was.
Go back to it. Corbin Carroll, who had just an amazing Game 7 last night, 3 for 4. I think he did get out his last time. But he was 3 for 4 with a sac fly, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. I mean, he filled up the box score. But he singles in the tying run. Now 2 outs, he's at first. Jeff Hoffman came into the game, and we talk about how something so tiny, Tony, can decide who goes to the World Series. But Corbin Carroll took advantage of the fact that Jeff Hoffman was just utterly focused on getting that hitter out and getting out of the inning. and he forgot about Corbin Carroll for just a second. Corbin Carroll took off and stole second, and he got in position to score what proved to be the winning run on the base hit by Moreno. So there you go. I mean, that stolen base was so crucial, and Diamondbacks bullpen did they have a good bullpen this year? I remember Ginkel having a pretty good year. They picked up Sewald near the end of the year in that trade, but Thompson is a guy that I didn't know anything about, and the lefty Sarkrat, whatever his name was, and the lefty
Sauerkraut. I don't want to butcher it. So yeah, I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about. He was in the minor leagues all year.
Yeah,
they
had a bunch of arms come up at the end of the year that turned out to be
all helped
good
them.
Arms. In terms of the bag, I don't think Hoffman forgot about him. I think Corbin Carroll had that advantage the entire series, which is why Real Muto was trying to throw from his knees. He knew he didn't have a good enough chance. The fact is, some pitchers are good at holding runners. Some pitchers are okay. Some
pitchers aren't very good.
And then some pitchers are just not very good. And Hoffman, I'm sure, was completely aware. They had been running now for a game and some change at that point.
Yeah.
That he was going to run, and he still couldn't stop it.
Yeah. Came down to a couple of at-bats that Bryce Harper had late in this game. And I know Harper went 0 for 4, and, he didn't, quote, get the job done.
He didn't miss by
Tony,
much.
He hit 2 deep fly balls.
Yeah.
That just neither of them went over the fence.
The last one looked eerily similar to Robert Suarez.
I know. As soon as he swung the bat, I thought, uh-oh, that's out.
I knew he didn't click it. It just didn't have the same look as it did off of Suarez, but yeah, they fall short.
Yeah, they fell a little short, and Schwarber, Turner, and Harper combined to go 1 for 20 in the last 2 games. I not only could you not expect Arizona to win the last 2 games in Philadelphia, where nobody was able to win in the postseason, but they held the Phillies to 3 runs in those 2 games. I mean, that just wasn't supposed to happen. That Arizona pitching staff was not that, intimidating, but much like the Texas Rangers, the Diamondbacks did a whole bunch of things in this postseason, or have done a bunch of things in this postseason that they didn't really show consistently throughout the year. And Arizona, like I said, won 84 games this year. Padres won 82. But there are the Diamondbacks in the World Series for only the second time. Rangers will be looking to win their first ever World Series. They were in back-to-back series about a decade or so ago. Lost one to the Cardinals and one to, who was the other, Skraby?
Giants.
Yeah, I was just making sure you were paying attention.
That was the 2010 one?
I think so, 2010. 2011 was the David Freese miracle that turned everything around for the Cardinals and beat out the Rangers that year. So I don't know. I'm as much as I'm impressed and excited by what the Diamondbacks have done, and I kind of rooted for them last night. I got to root for Bochy in the World Series.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer.
I think it's kind of a no-brainer. There might be some people in San Diego who are still sour and bitter and all of that and don't want to see Bochy win again.
How can you not
get a grip?
How can you not want him to win again?
Well,
He's
how
just
can you
such
not
an
cheer
amazing.
for your hospital mate?
My hospital mate, Torey Lavello.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Are we playing Gwynn and Chris this?
Chris vs. the fans?
Oh, yeah. I was
don't
doing
know.
this segment as if we needed to kill some time.
If you were on the cameras, you saw me and Tony just laughing.
All right. What do you want to do, Mr. Skraby? I kind of squashed.
Why don't you? Let's start and hope
See where it
we
goes.
get a winner, but we cannot go past 17. So here we go.
My bad.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right.
I'm telling you guys, don't ever get old, man. Don't ever get old. The memory goes quickly.
Hey, my memory is already gone too. So you have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before we get into it, and you'll get that first question for free, and you will start on the second question. You'll be qualified for the grand prize if you win a 2-night stay at Westgate Las Vegas and tickets to Frankie Valli. Catch the legendary Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons live in concert at the International Theater at Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Get tickets and VIP packages now at Ticketmaster.com. Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations, bringing back the legendary Vegas fun.
All right.
First contestant, Noah, come on down.
Hey, Noah.
Howdy do.
Howdy do.
Sorry to make you wait a little extra there, Noah.
We got our first time player.
First time player. Here we go. First,
we were into that
second
one.
question. If you hook the ball as a right-handed golfer, which way is the ball going?
Left.
Nice job. Nice job. Very
Question number 3, chance to qualify.
Wow,
This would
just
be
like
the
that.
greatest thing ever.
See if I can do this impression. Doc Rivers coached 4 teams in his career. Name 3 of the 4.
Oh, you cut out there. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, Tony.
Yes, sorry. Doc Rivers coached 4 teams in his career. Name 3 of 4.
Glenn Doc Rivers.
Lakers,
he
Sixers,
says. Sixers.
Clippers,
Celtics. Well, he
He
technically got
did
it
get
right.
3 of the 4.
Yeah, he got 3 of the 4. He did it.
He did
Wow,
Not, he did
this
not coach
is-
for the Lakers. But
He went
did.
around he took the long way around, but he got there.
I didn't say he had to name all
No,
of
you
them
didn't.
correct. I
You
just
did.
said
He said
3
3 out of the 4. He got the
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, the Sixers right. He got the
Wow.
Clippers right. and
No,
he
you
got
just bailed out.
The Celtics.
the
Right.
Celtics
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Who
Thank
was the
you.
other team he coached?
Orlando Magic.
Oh wow, I didn't remember that.
Was he Dwight Howard? No, he was gone by the
Don't
99
recall
through
that.
2003.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you very much, Noah. I had a
Yeah.
feeling it was going to be a short Chris versus the fans today. That's why I wasted
exactly
so much
why
time.
You played it the way you
yeah,
did.
Good
right.
job,
Makes
Chris.
perfect sense, Chris.
Thank you, Noah.
On the stream, this is the first. This is from Dang It Doug, which I
Dang
find
It
that
Doug.
I like that. This is the first time I've watched a radio show. Do you guys have a makeup artist?
No.
Do we need one?
Yeah, I know. You're looking
would
at my
say, for
ghoulish
sure.
looking face.
You're getting it all natural, baby.
All natural.
Yeah. No makeup.
No makeup. Have you put on makeup, Tony, for like when you do the games with Dawn?
Oh yeah.
Do they make you put on makeup?
No.
Do
But
you dab a little on there?
You can see the difference when you wear makeup on TV and when you don't.
Hmm.
You know, especially with 4K, your pores are like there for everybody to see.
That scared me.
So no, I get a little. I don't use a lot, just a little dab.
Yeah.
And you know where I honestly use it is on my head to take the shine off of
Take the shine off your forehead.
my forehead and my bald head.
I can't believe that any makeup could possibly help me. So I don't
You'd
think.
be
I think
surprised.
that's a
Never
waste
say never.
of
Prosthetics.
Surprise.
prosthetics,
Plastic surgery.
Yeah, like who knows? Maybe I'll get a
I
sponsor.
mean, you are the skinny guy, so I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right,
You can
Tony.
do a lot of different.
You tell 'em.
Yeah.
You
When you
tell
look
'em.
over here, you just got ghoulish looking face and chunkiness. Thanks, guys. Thanks for that one. Thought you may laugh, soften the blow a little bit, but no.
You put it out there, dog.
Yeah, I'm working on. I'm trying to follow Chris's diet on my own.
I'm just supposed to stop you right now, man. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You can't do it on your own.
No, you can't.
No.
You have to go visit. You have to go visit them. And
if we all had that type of discipline, we wouldn't need a diet.
you said to me something one time that really made sense, and it was you because I said I couldn't diet, and you said you stop drinking. That's the hardest. That's harder
Come
than
on, man.
If you could do
dieting.
that,
The
you should be
diet
able
is
to.
Not
not
diet.
true.
That's true.
It should be.
Good point.
If it's not, it should be.
I love my food, and I now have an addiction to food.
Yeah.
I'm saying too much. Can we please
Chris,
get out of
take the
here?
break, please.
Why are you guys
I'm
letting me talk?
enjoying you struggling right now.
Why are you letting me talk?
Special edition of Gwynn and Chris NFL Pick'em. We usually do it Thursday, doing it Wednesday this week. Stick around. It's next after traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valve.
Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris L. Matt Skraby. We have a special edition of Gwynn and Chris NFL Pick. What happened last week? I know I got an upset pick, but I don't know.
You did, man. That was a big one. You got the Patriots over the Bills, so you've extended your lead back out to a 13-point spread.
Love to hear it.
I'm sure you're happy to hear that.
Before we get to it, Halloween shopping making you want to scream. I know I certainly is. Making me want to scream. My kids keep changing their mind like every 2 minutes of what they want
to be.
Man, I had a hard enough time coming up with one.
Come on, man. Head to Smart Final for tricks and treats and a whole lot of sweets. Pick up candy, Halloween decorations, and more in one trip, and that's it. Only at Smart and Final. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this Gwynn and Chris NFL Pick'em.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, yes.
This is your part.
Bum, bum,
Yes.
bum, bum.
Okay, NFL fans, it's time for NFL Pick'em. But not like boring Pick'em like all the other sports radio shows. We see who's the best in Gwynn versus Chris. NFL Pick'em edition on 97.3 The Fan. The Fan.
All right, as I said, Tony had a big upset pick last week, an 8-pointer on the Patriots to knock off the Bills. So he's back up. 52-39 is the lead for you, Tony.
Yes, sir.
So we head into week 8, and you are first pick. We have a 3-point pick, a 2-point, a 1-point, and then we have our upset pick. And Tony, the board is yours. No spread involved. Just pick somebody who's going to win here in week 8. There's a lot of big spreads this week around the National Football
League.
Yeah.
The biggest spread is your team, the Miami Dolphins and New England Patriots.
You're not worried?
I know. I'm definitely worried after watching what they just did to Buffalo.
And they got a ton of injuries, the Dolphins, as we mentioned earlier. So, yeah, that is the biggest spread, 9.5. But Buffalo's favored by 9. There's a bunch of 8-point spreads in there.
There's mine. Baltimore at Arizona.
Baltimore at Arizona. The Ravens looked like world beaters last week.
They sure did.
Is Kyler Murray close to playing at all for the Cardinals?
I know he is in that window of seeing if he can play. You know, they take you off the PUP.
Right.
And it sounds like despite everybody and their mom telling the Cardinals that they shouldn't play him, they got too much money invested in them, they seem like they want to play him, and they don't care about the
Let him play
risk.
football.
Yes.
He's a football player, last I checked. I'll take the Lions on Monday night at home. They got to have a bounce-back performance after that loss to the Ravens, and they're playing that Raiders. Who really looked like a mess They looked like a mess last week, so I can't see the Raiders. I'll take the Lions here for 3 points. Next up, the 2-point game, Tony. A lot of big ones out there still.
Kansas City at Denver.
You love the what's not to love about the Chiefs? And they've also beaten the Broncos, I think, 16 or 17 times in a row.
It's been a lot.
I'll fall for it, and I'll take Buffalo tomorrow night. They're really shaky right now, but this is it for Buffalo. Like if they go down tomorrow, then I think the Dolphins can forget about them in the AFC East. So backs against the wall, I'll take Buffalo. All right, 1-point pick for you, Tony. Who do you like here?
I'm going all road teams.
Road teams. Philly on the road at Washington. 3 road teams for Tony. God, you're leaving the Dolphins there for me. But I never like to choose the Dolphins because I jinx them. I'm going to go with another team whose backs are against the wall playing a really bad team at home, and I'll take the Chargers on Sunday night over the Bears. Although Bajent played all right last week. And Justin Herbert probably put up 506 yards. Doesn't mean he'll win. All right, there's our 3, 2, and 1-point picks. Now time for the upset pick. If the team you pick wins outright, you get the number of points that they are underdog by. As I said, there's a lot of big spreads this week. Tony, you've got the 13-point lead. Where do you want to go here?
I might as well stay with my theme here.
Gonna do another upset on the road. Another road team, huh?
Give me the Bengals.
The Bengals over who are they playing? Why
49ers.
Would you pick the Bengals?
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. They're going back home.
49ers, Brock Purdy's on the concussion protocol.
Sam Darnold is a qualified backup.
We'll see about that. We may see about that.
Yeah, he is.
49ers, how did they give up 452 yards? I got to believe that Joe Burrow is going to have a little tougher go of it.
You
this
like
weekend.
that?
So
Kirk Cousins does like that.
he liked it.
And he was iced out after the game, too.
He was.
Yeah.
He totally was.
All right, I could take the Patriots against my own team, but that would really not be cool.
That's a kick in the you-know-what.
That would not be cool. Rams at Cowboys, I don't see that. I don't see picking against any of the ones you've taken because I think all of yours are going to win. I'm going to go with a small one this week myself because I think a lot of the big spreads are really one-sided games. I will take Tennessee at home against Atlanta. Atlanta. That's only a 3-pointer, but I don't see Atlanta being good enough
I thought about that
to
one
win
too.
back-to-back on the road. They won at Tampa Bay last week. Tennessee's had the bye week, but
but we're going to talk about this in the Big Five, so we'll analyze this later.
Okay.
They're going to play 2 quarterbacks in that game, the Titans.
yes, that'll
apparently.
complete Arthur Smith. Does anybody feel like I do when you look at Arthur Smith on the sidelines, the Atlanta Falcons coach?
What do you feel like?
I feel like he's late for a bus. I just
Wait, what does that even
well,
mean?
he looks panicked. He looks, like he's not going to get there, and he's shuffling his papers around. His hair's flying one way. His tie's going another way. His belly's
That's why he
jiggling.
should stay off the sideline. He should stay up top.
You
He
can't do that
doesn't
as a
look
head
great
coach.
down there. Yeah, he's the head coach. I mean, I've never seen. There's no head coaches have ever
Not that I know of.
Why did
coached
I think
from
you were
up
talking
above.
about Arthur Blank?
Oh no,
No,
you think I'm talking about the owner? No, I'm talking about the coach of the Falcons.
Arthur Blank's definitely not taking a bus anywhere.
Yeah, he doesn't take a bus anywhere. But
Yeah, Arthur Smith, I don't understand how the Falcons are able to keep winning because they win, and you're like, how did they win that game?
I
They're
can't
not
even
good.
picture Arthur Smith's face right now.
Really?
He's very generic.
If you call up a picture of Arthur Smith,
Is he bearded?
no,
I think he's got a mustache
He's,
right
he's
now.
got
You know what?
I
I'll
don't
just
know.
look
He's
at
got
it.
a lot of hair. He doesn't look
He's
like
got
a
lot of
well, I
hair.
mean, a heavy hairdo. He just doesn't look like a button down, together NFL coach. He looks like he kind of reminds me of a 2023 version of the old John Madden look on the sidelines.
Okay.
But John Madden was funny.
Oh yeah.
and
I
fun
know
to
who you're
look
talking
at.
about. Yeah.
Would you say he looks like he's late for a bus?
Yeah, he does. He looks like he's in a panic
He does,
most of the
right?
time.
Yeah, he's always
What he was
panicking out.
yelling at the referees about restarting the play clock last week,
Oh,
and he looked that description fits it perfectly. Like he was just like besides himself doing the reset the clock signal.
Yeah. Anyway, those are our picks for the week. We'll see how it turns out. Tony will still be ahead by next week, but maybe I can close the gap a little bit. And there you have that.
Hopefully not. Let's get to break. When we come back, Scrape's got a big 5
I sure do.
lined up and ready. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
I think that we should just go managerless.
Down like this. Down like this. Break it down. Down like this. 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 Down like this.
4:37 is the time. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Mr. Skraby, and it is Gwynn and Chris going up until 6 o'clock this evening. Buster Olney, ESPN, joined us to talk some very good baseball stuff earlier in the program. If you missed it, you'd like to hear it, go to our webpage at 973thefanaSD.com or download the Odyssey app. You can listen to it whenever you'd like. We'll have a little bit more of it for you in the 5:30 segment later on in this show. NBA night 2 in the association. Lakers came up short in their opener last night in Denver. Celtics and Knicks are underway. Celtics are up 24-13 in the first quarter of that game. That's the only real marquee matchup that's underway at this hour. There's a lot of other games later, including the Clippers home to Portland tonight. Victor Wembanyama makes his debut tonight as well,
I'm
Tony.
actually excited to see this. I've seen a few of the preseason highlights.
Yeah, it looks
Tell you what,
looks
man.
like it'll be fun to watch him.
7'6"?
That's crazy. 7'4", I think.
Oh,
I don't think
I'm
he's
sorry.
7'6",
I missed it
but
by 2.
yeah, no, I'm just, trying to be accurate. That's
7'4". I watched this dude dribble to his left, step back, and hit a fadeaway.
Looks like a point guard sometimes out there.
Yeah, man.
He can dunk from the free throw line just by reaching out.
I watched it. Yeah, first of all, I saw him call for an alley-oop at the three-point line, which I've never seen before because he knew nobody was going to be able to get to it. And then I watched him pull a little point guard move where, sometimes there's like a bigger guy. You'll see Chris Paul or Trae Young do this, and they bounce it through the defender's legs and just run. He's 7'4", doing that to guards, like bouncing it through their legs, getting it on the other side.
He's got to be, just watching him, he's going to be something we've never seen before.
Easily.
There's nobody over 7 feet that's ever done anything like this guy can do.
No, I mean,
Jokic is amazing enough on his own, dribbling and handling the ball the way he does.
This is a
whole nother deal.
This skill set looks like Kevin Durant, but in a 7'4" frame. Now,
Unreal.
Kevin's doing it at 7 foot.
Yeah, that's
Add
right.
another 4 inches.
Kevin Durant seems like a little guy.
He does.
Up against him. Yeah, but Wembanyama opens up against Dallas tonight. It's a pretty good game. It's on TV, so if you're interested,
a little Luka
Doncic, and so that'll be fun. NBA later on. Of course, baseball World Series doesn't start till Friday. Big Five starts right now after traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by California Coast Credit Union. Folks are doing a good job of staying out of trouble on our roads this afternoon. Still busy in the usual spots, though, seeing plenty of brake lights for you coming off the split southbound 5 down toward La Jolla Village Drive before it lets you go. Most of South 805's brake lights start up around the 52, stays heavy all the way down to University. With MasterCard Local, CalCoast Credit Union members can earn 5% cash back on purchases made with CalCoast MasterCard credit and debit cards every time they shop at participating businesses. Learn more at calcoastcu.org/shop-local. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so I was just chatting with the streamers. They want us to dress up on Halloween, guys, now that we're on the cameras.
No
I believe
shot.
that's on Tuesday.
No
Tony will be dressed up, and he'll be ready
No
to go.
shot.
No shot on my dress.
Chris will be dressed up. He'll be ready to go. So he didn't say no shot, so that means that there is a shot.
I'm telling
No shot.
There it is.
There's a suggestion I dress up as Chewbacca. Don't appreciate that.
Did you have the
five.
build for that?
No, I think it's more of my beard and the jacket that I wear.
The jacket, you did get caught Chewbacca the
I
other
did.
day wearing that jacket.
I did. And the reason we wear jackets in here, even though it could be 95 degrees outside, is because I have a vent that just blows right on me. And it's freezing in this room sometimes. It's like a freezer.
Sorry to hear that.
All right, let's get into it. Chris, you're up first.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. We all know the deal with what happened today with Bob Melvin and AJ Preller. It's been widely talked about the number of managers that AJ Preller has had under his watch. Now, unless it changes and things are much, much, much better next season, how long do you think AJ Preller's, for lack of a better term, leash is with the team?
I think it's 1 year long.
End of this year, they don't make the playoffs. You think he's gone?
And if there's any kind of unrest, I mean, I honestly think, this is the incident that puts AJ's neck out on the line. I do. I mean, Peter Seidler's got to be taking notice. I mean, he listens. He's very aware, I think, of what people in the community say about his team. And I think the the reaction to what's happened on this Bob Melvin situation puts AJ Preller front and center. So I'm going to say 1 year. I think this is a make it or break it for him.
All right, Tony, how long do you think AJ Preller's leash is with the team?
I think Chris is right. It does feel like this incident, this situation has kind of brought it all to the forefront. And so, I would agree with Chris. It's probably this year.
Okay. All right.
Number 4.
We'll hear more from what happened today with AJ Preller and Bob Melvin in the 5 o'clock hour. Philadelphia 76ers guard James Harden rejoined his teammates for practice today, but he will not be traveling to either Milwaukee for the season opener against the Bucks on Thursday or Toronto to face the Raptors on Saturday. That means the first time he could potentially play this season will be in Sunday's home opener against the Blazers. Now, we have given Ben Simmons a hard time. I've given Zion a hard time, and we have somewhat given James Harden a hard time. But, Tony, from a work ethic perspective, which player would you least want on your team?
Work ethic?
Yeah, because all those guys have questionable work ethics.
I don't even think one has questionable work. I guess Zion, if you believe everything you read. I would say Ben Simmons.
Okay.
I would say Ben, and listen, some of it may not be his own fault, right? I take the mental illness issue seriously. Yes. And so, he gets a pass for that, but that's been like what? Since he's like played basketball, it's been what? 4 years? 3 years?
Yeah.
So I would say even with James Harden being a brat and asking to be traded and out of different situations, he still shows up, and when he's happy, he plays. Ben can be there, and he's not playing. And Zion, I just chalked this up to him being young, like thinking he could still eat, McDonald's 2 or 3 times a week. And
I learned that the hard way.
A day. Especially when he wasn't playing, I think he started to realize you're not burning that off, bro. You're going to have to come up with a different diet. And it seems like coming into this camp, he's done that. So I'll say Ben Simmons.
All right, Chris, who would you think, or if you're looking at this
Ben
from a
Simmons.
work ethic? Okay.
Ben Simmons, easy. The other 2 guys I can put up with a little bit because when they do play, they're really, really good.
Right.
When Ben Simmons plays, he's not even that good. So that's my answer. Sticking to it.
Okay.
Number 3.
Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel told reporters yesterday he expects both Malik Willis and Will Levis to play in Week 8 against the Falcons. In the event, starter Ryan Tannehill is unavailable. He's coming off of an ankle injury he suffered in London before their bye week. Chris, they drafted Malik Willis last year and Will Levis this year. Does a 2-quarterback rotation work in the NFL?
It hasn't worked since the only one I can remember is the Dolphins. And it goes back to the early 80s. They had something called Woodstock. The starting quarterback was David Woodley, and he would play lousy for a quarter and a half. Then Don Strock would come in and play great and save the game. And the Dolphins went to a Super Bowl with those 2 guys. But, man, I can't remember too many other situations where it's worked out too well. The Titans look like a little dysfunctional in terms of the way they drafted the last 2 years. I mean, getting a young quarterback and following it up with another young quarterback just seems like it confused matters. And Mike Vrabel playing both of them in one game is going to do nothing to change that.
It's one thing to get a quarterback, inherit a quarterback that's already an NFL quarterback. It's a completely different thing to pick one out of the draft. It doesn't seem to be all that easy for everybody to get that part right.
Kyle Shanahan.
Right. Especially if we're not talking like top of the draft.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're finding one in the 3rd,
Malik,
4th, 5th round, that's hard.
What the other kid that's might play was his
Will
name?
Levis.
Will Levis.
Remember when he sat there in the draft room forever?
Yeah, it was the
whole first day, I think.
Yes, it was. He didn't show up the second day. He was pissed.
I do remember that. He just went home. All right. So do you think Tony, do you think it works? 2-quarterback rotation?
No, I don't think it works. I mean, we see how hard it is with one quarterback. And so now you're going to have 2 different voices, 2 different timing on routes and when it's coming out, how it looks coming out. We hear often from wide receivers and quarterbacks how just a wide receiver and not having consistent reps. You're sharing reps. No, I don't think it works.
I'm looking at some Halloween costumes here. I was thinking about
I just got Chucky.
I was thinking of a deluxe Toy Story Rex costume.
Yes,
but it's $90.
Yeah, no, they're not playing.
For heaven's sakes.
Yeah, that is expensive.
I mean, even if I wanted to dress up, I'm going to have to start a fund.
GoFundMe.
Yeah, help me out. My goodness.
Did you just say the Rex as in the dinosaur from Toy Story? Is he the
Yes, it's a green dinosaur.
I need
deluxe
to see
Toy Story Rex
I need to
costume.
see you in that, actually.
Well, if you want to see me in it, Skraby,
I'm not going to buy it for you.
well, then you're not going to see me in it.
Immediately was out. I'm not buying it for you.
You're not going to see me in
Honestly,
it.
if you're listening right now, give Chris this costume so we can see Chris walk around with
I'll wear it if somebody wants to honostly buy it for me, but that's ridiculous.
All right.
Please don't buy it.
All right.
That would be phenomenal.
Number 2.
It's been kind of the twilight zone for the last few days, at least for me. And I learned something for the first time today. And surprisingly, I learned it from LSU football head coach Brian Kelly. Sign stealing has become a huge topic this week, and Brian Kelly thinks he knows the solution. And that would be to give the quarterback a play calling headset in their helmet. Apparently, the SEC won't do this for a few reasons, but a couple mentioned were that they would need another official to turn on and off the system before and after each play.
So they got enough money to pay for another official?
Thank you. They're also concerned it will void the warranty on the helmets. Yes,
Jesus.
I'm not kidding. That was referenced. So, Tony, you're up first. Kelly thinks this is all ridiculous that they don't already have this in place.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, that was my question. Is it ridiculous?
I don't often. Matter of fact, I think this might be the first time I've ever agreed with Brian Kelly on anything.
Yeah, I think we have to alert the media about this.
He's 100% right. That is, by the way, Chris, I just got a text saying, send me the link and what address to send it to. And I will buy it.
No, don't do it. Do not do it.
Coach Aaron Jaffe. Big
yeah.
man.
Sorry,
He just
Aaron.
sent me a
I
text.
never DM'd you back.
Coach, nobody has $90 to blow on one laugh.
Yes, he does, apparently.
I might have to send you that link, Jaffe.
I'm also getting Buzz Lightyear that they want to see me dressed up as Buzz Lightyear.
You guys could flip that. Like,
I don't want to be the
Buzz
dinosaur.
Lightyear. You could be the dinosaur.
No, I want to be Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, I want to be
infinity and beyond.
If I'm going to be anything, I'm going to be that
Dinosaur?
dinosaur.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair
it's so ludicrous that it's
I want to see Chris as Uncle Fester.
Ooh.
Uncle Fester. I got too much hair for Uncle Fester.
If we got like a makeup artist to come in and like do him up, he could.
That'd be
the girl who cuts my hair.
All right,
is
don't
a
be. All
professional
right,
makeup artist.
I already volunteered for something ridiculous. I'm not volunteering for any of the rest of this
All
stuff.
right, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Brian Kelly, I think, is right. I think the SEC of all the conferences certainly has the money to replace the helmets if the warranty isn't upheld.
Or just work with the helmet company.
Come on.
There's a way around this.
Let's go. Come on, SEC.
Let's go. Chris, is it ridiculous they're not using this? Did you know this?
No, I didn't. Honestly, this came as news to me, but I think that Brian Kelly ought to just solve the problem himself and pay for it with some of the $80 gazillion he makes per day.
I don't think he's willing to do that, Chris.
Well, he should be.
The whole sign stealing thing right now has gone so crazy. Did you know that they were sending Michigan? I'm talking about the University of Michigan.
I'm not so sure that the sign stealing thing is as big of it. I mean, it's a big issue. Obviously, you don't want your signs, but football is not the same. Like if I'm in the batter's box and I know a curveball is coming, that's a big advantage for me.
Right?
You can know the sweep is coming.
Green Bay Packers used to tell you it was coming
and still not stop it.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it has a lot more to do with will than it does you knowing what we're going to do.
I mean, they were sending this staffer out to games and buying tickets for him as a fan and not getting him in the media
I don't know.
box.
Have you seen the story on the whole system that they had working here?
It's kind of complicated.
It's pretty.
If you were just to focus your energy in on like getting better as a team, there's so many people that waste so much time trying to cheat.
Looking for an edge.
Yes, they are. Chris, you already said you think it's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Number 1.
All right. Former Browns quarterback Brady Quinn took a huge shot at Deshaun Watson while in an argument with Watson's personal quarterback trainer. This happened on X, and it happened after Quinn suggested that Deshaun Watson doesn't want to play football anymore after getting paid. Well, after a back and forth on X, Brady Quinn wrote, quote, How about we massage this conversation and get it to a happy ending? Does that sound satisfactory? Question mark. Chris, did he go too far?
He just fired and missed. I mean, it's a funny joke that isn't even close to funny.
It sounds like
a joke that he wanted to be funny that isn't.
It sounds like it's coming from a serious place too.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, it's poor class.
Poorly thought out.
Because you think about it, I mean, the women that had to go through the incident certainly didn't consider it a massage or a happy ending for that matter.
They're not a punchline.
And it's just like you can have a normal discourse back and forth and not make it personal. You were talking about football. Now, his original premise is one of that really gets under my skin.
He's a former athlete too.
It really bothers me. Like, and it's the low-hanging fruit argument. Oh, you got paid, you don't want to play anymore. And it's just he sucks right now. That has nothing to do with necessarily him not wanting to play. He's just not playing well right now. And you can leave it at that. And your argument is well backed up by the evidence. But now you take it a step further by making a joke that isn't really that funny, especially to the people that went through it.
And second thing is, just don't fight with people on X.
By the way, Brady Quinn, you weren't like
you've never done that.
Me?
Fought with people on X or Twitter.
I've never typed that before.
Not that.
I've never
fought with a million people on Twitter. That's all you ever do.
I fight with them, but I fight with them in a respectful manner. I'm not like throwing out personal barbs at them.
You would if you could think of them.
It doesn't stop.
You're probably right.
It doesn't stop people from saying to me, "Well, man, Chris is right. You are annoying."
Yeah, I like when they say that.
Well, Skraby's really annoying.
Here we go with the horrible impressions of my voice that are nowhere close to my voice.
All right, that's it for the Big Five. When we get back, we'll hear from AJ Preller, what he said in his press conference today, and we'll discuss that. Plus, Buster Olney is going to be in the 5 o'clock hour as well. That's what we'll do when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
That
needs to be a promo as well.
It's time to get you up to speed on all things sports.
Yes!
With plenty of nonsense in between.
Oh, look! Here comes our fearless producer!
Gwynn and Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Into the happy hour we go. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. Get you back to some of these AJ Preller remarks. Before I get to that, I want to touch on something that's kind of bothering me a little bit. I can't do the Diamondbacks fans right now. Like I just feel like they sold all their tickets after the game 2 loss.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I see, MLB Network's got like a bunch of different people like spraying champagne from their houses, mind you. Like they're like, it just feels very.
We love the Diamondbacks.
Like, come on, I was at all those games with the Diamondbacks. You guys weren't there supporting that squad.
No, they really haven't. I mean, in Phoenix, it seems to me the Suns and the Cardinals are far more important to people
Suns
there,
definitely, yeah,
than the Diamondbacks. But
I can't.
Winning front running and. Bandwagon jumping is a long-time American tradition.
It is. That was very Skraby of me. I don't know why I decided to choose violence when it came to the Diamondbacks fans. You know what? Have at it. Go ahead. Jump on the bandwagon. Enjoy this time. Because I know folks in here said they could certainly wish we were in their shoes right now.
You literally just changed your entire take on it in the middle of having it.
I did. I was feeling some type of way seeing them spray champagne, I think.
Well,
I think that hit a nerve.
It was very annoying with the people who had their tags still on their jerseys spraying the champagne.
You saw the tag,
I
too.
did.
Oh, is that right? People had just gone out and bought a jersey.
Person on the screen
with
celebrating that put it on Instagram. The tag was like flopping around.
Oh, my goodness. That's
well, they need to return it after the World
They
Series.
can't now. They got champagne on it. They can't change it. All right. AJ,
they have to return it after the World Series.
That's like $200.
AJ Preller did a.
We know they don't have $200 because they wouldn't pay more than $10 to go to Game 3 against the Phillies.
Man, they probably could have sold those tickets for a lot more too. They was giving them away cheap.
Yeah, what are they doing?
I don't know, but hopefully they got their World Series tickets. They're not selling that. AJ Preller had a Zoom conference earlier this afternoon to speak about what occurred today. Bob Melvin took the job with the Giants. He was under contract one more year for the Padres. He was asked, what will the new managerial search going forward consist of?
Yeah, I think we have some candidates that we're going to sit down with here starting as soon as today. Honestly, that we feel strongly about that are really well qualified, and we have some other candidates in the organization that we're going to talk to engage their interest level. I can just tell in the first 24 hours though, there's a lot of interest in this job. We've had some very interesting names and some people that are very accomplished that have expressed interest in this job. And I think really it's a testament to our team, our roster, the talent that's here, the fact that we've gone to the playoffs, a couple of times here in the last few years in our city. We've got amazing fans that support this team. So it's an attractive job. I think we'll sit down with some internal candidates the next few days, but we're going to make sure, we exhaust all the different possibilities, to get the right choice. It's no real time frame. It's not like, hey, we need to do this by this time. It's a big off season for us. We've got a lot of decisions to make. This is the first one, and we want to try to get it right.
They better get it right this time, because as Tony and I pointed out in the Big Five, I think this is a last shot for AJ. I don't know. It's been pointed out to us in many interviews that we've done with national baseball writers, Tony, that very few general managers get more than one chance to build their team. And AJ's already gotten 2 chances, and now he's going on a 5th manager. The chances have got to be running thin. So he's got to get this one right, and he's got to get the right guy in there that they can work together.
I can't think of – I don't know of anybody, at least in recent history, that has had the length of time to do what they do in this situation. So we'll see how it goes. AJ Preller, I told you he was asked some pretty tough questions. And I for those who have been in here in San Diego, I'm pretty sure you could figure out who these questions came from. But why the high burn rate for managers?
Yeah, I think looking at it again, I kind of focus as far as with Andy and now Jason, Bob. No, I mean, again, I think that the idea is you want somebody that's here for a long time, and you want to find talented people that are here for a long time. But again, it's like anything. It's like, you look at any kind of partnership, it takes two. I think again, like I'll constantly look back and say, hey, how can we do this different? And what does it look like? Because you want to hire a really talented person, and hopefully they're here for for a decade. But sometimes again, like things come up, they're different rosters, different situations, maybe different opportunities that people are excited about. We've had other people leave the organization because, they want to go they want a new opportunity. They want a different challenge. They want to be closer to home. But I think from my standpoint, it's like, look, we want to make sure we have an environment that, the employees feel good about working in. And, at the end of the day, putting a situation together on this next hire where hopefully we look up and this is somebody that's here for a decade. That's the goal.
My question about that, though, is if it's your goal to hire someone for a decade, then why have you hired 4 managers? That's my first immediate thought. If you really want people to work, why aren't you, or if you want it to work long term, why aren't you trying to make the last 3 work, or at least Bob Melvin? Those are the questions that come up in my mind.
That's a fair question.
They're good questions. I think Jace Tingler and Andy Green kind of managed themselves out of the job just by the way things finished up with those guys. But, in 1 or 2 years, you can tell if something's going to work. And I just don't think either hire turned out to be the right one. Now, Bob Melvin, I think, is different. And I think that kind of begets the question you're asking.
That's the Jace Tingler is probably the best case study. And probably from the standpoint of the familiarity he had with AJ coming in to the situation. Those two worked pretty closely together in Texas. And in his case, maybe Jace was a little too green for the managerial part, not baseball, but managing personalities, managing the media. And maybe that's ultimately why that didn't work out. But that's probably the guy out of all of the managers. And this will be AJ's 4th manager hiring. He's had to fire 4 others. So it's been 5 managers total. But this is Jace is probably the one who, in terms of that cohesiveness, in terms of thinking alike or seeing the game in the same way, he's probably the one who came closest to AJ. And so, we'll see what this looks like as they go out for this next search. The last question was another doozy. AJ was asked, why should he be in charge of rebuilding?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think obviously that's my job, as far as being the general manager and overseeing the team. So I think from our standpoint, what I'm trying to do is you go hire good people. I think we're, our environment, at least the way, at least the way I work, it's very open, it's very collaborative. We're looking for we feel like we have a lot of really talented people in the organization. And then for myself, trying to get everybody on the same page. And, obviously the last couple of years, we didn't quite get that right. So we've had different periods over the last few years where we have. But yeah, I think, as far as being the GM and the president, it's a big part of my role and responsibility. And, I'm going to look back at the last couple of years. There's different points in time and you learn from it. I think in 20, honestly, I think in 20, there was a lot of communication. It's probably the year that, personally I was the most active and involved in the big league team. And it was because of COVID. There really wasn't anything else to do and everybody was locked in. It was a very unique time. I feel like our group played well. And the biggest thing was because there was communication constantly between players, staff, and, and myself, training staff and R&D, et cetera. In 21, I probably felt like a little bit where, I kind of thought maybe we had it. And I think, probably didn't communicate as well in the last 2 years. I think kind of out of respect for, for Bob and different things. I think probably that constant communication, I think it's something that, we'll make sure that we get right here this year. And similar to that 20 year where we played well, I think, something that personally for myself, you're asked to wear a lot of hats as the GM. I think making sure this big league team is right this year, that'll be a big goal.
Now, I hadn't heard that particular bite. As I told you, I didn't listen to the interview prior to getting here, but that sounded as though AJ
Taking a little ownership there.
Well, not only was he taking a little ownership, the ownership he took was that he wasn't involved enough with the club the last 2 years. Did I hear that correctly?
You did. I thought about that when I was recording it earlier and listening to it live. I mean,
which runs completely opposite of what has been reported.
Yes, it's been reported that he micromanages too much, and I think the word that has been thrown around a lot is that he meddles with the manager.
That soundbite said that he does not, and that 2020 he said was the last time he was truly involved. We know how that season ended up in a DS appearance in the playoffs, and then since then 2020.
21 was the
collapse,
right? Yeah, that's fun to reference again.
So
2022 was fun.
So really 2022, 2023, he's saying he has, out of respect for Bo Mel, he had stepped away.
That's not what I've been reading, and that's not what I've been discussing with people when I do discuss it.
Listen, I know we both read, but I'm just telling you.
No, I know, and that kind of scares me, to be honest, a little bit. If he thinks he wasn't involved enough, and there's people saying that he was involved too much, that shows me that AJ Preller is not identifying the actual issue. He's thinking that by getting involved more, he's going to fix it, which I'm a fixer, and I've been told you can't fix everything, and so you should stop trying to fix everything. I don't know, Chris, am I off base?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I don't know. I think you're having thoughts that a lot of people are having. I mean, the bottom line is they got to figure it out. And I think he's got to figure it out. And I think it sounded like, he said he's got to do a better job.
What just happened?
Did crackers?
I don't know.
Let's get to break. When we come back, Bo Mel, he spoke on why it was time to move on from San Diego. We'll play that for you when we return. More Gwynn and Chris. There's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Belmont Park's Fall Festival. Come on, guys. You were doing so good. I must have jinxed it by telling you so, because now all these crashes.
Everybody's speaking today. AJ Preller on a Zoom call to the media here in San Diego. Bob Melvin adorning a San Francisco Giants home uniform.
Not
speaking
a fan.
to the gathering in San Francisco. He's the new manager of the Giants. Joins Bud Black, former Padre manager, and even Dave Roberts, who managed the Padres for an interim game, as former Padre skippers that are now managing against them in the National League West. And we heard from AJ Preller, some of his thoughts and comments earlier today. How about Bob Melvin? He had a big chance to throw the Padres organization, and if he so chose, AJ Preller under the bus, chose to take the high road when he was asked why it was time to move on.
Why was this job with the Giants a better job for you than San Diego?
Look, I really don't want to get too much into the San Diego situation other than the fact that I really enjoyed my time there. Some things transpired last year in a difficult year for the team with high expectations. I think there was a narrative at the end that probably wasn't going to go away with me being on my last year of my contract. And I think as far as that organization goes, it's probably not fair if that narrative continued through, next year. So all things considered, this opportunity came about, and for all the reasons I stated, this feels like the right one for me. But I very much enjoyed my time in San Diego. It just seems like with a lot of things that were popping up there, it just was time to move on.
And so he has. Bob Melvin will be the new manager of the San Francisco Giants. So he his 21st year of managing. Career that started with, the Diamondbacks first? Then the Mariners?
No, I think it was.
No, it was the Mariners, Diamondbacks.
Mariners, Diamondbacks. Then A's. Then Padres. And now Giants. He took the high road there for sure. Sounded like he wanted it to be known that there were some things that were going on behind the scenes in San Diego, but he didn't care to get into what they were, and just thought that it was better that he move on, join the Giants. I mean,
you can enjoy your time and things still not be.
I think he enjoyed his time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was in a horrible situation. Maybe wasn't the best, but as of a week ago, Bob Melvin was coming back for another year in San Diego. So couldn't have been that bad. Question is, what kind of great manager is Bob Melvin? Can he do wonders with this San Francisco roster that on paper is nowhere near what the Padres roster is?
What was the word can he do what?
Can he do magic miracles?
Yeah, he's going to need it.
He's going to need some of it. So we'll see, how Bob Melvin fares in San Francisco. We'll see right away, by the way, because the Padres, after they open their season in Korea against the Dodgers, will come back to San Diego, have a few days to prepare themselves for the bulk of the regular season. And the first team coming in next April is the Giants. Oh, isn't that just a tasty tidbit? Yeah.
Buster Olney, who we're going to hear from here shortly, he said something in the interview that kind of caught my attention, and it was that he was listing like all of the different qualifications that a new manager would need, and it all was, can he work with AJ? Can he work with AJ, this new manager? And I don't like that, because I thought, isn't it supposed to be a collaboration? And that's what AJ keeps saying in his stuff, is that it's a collaborative effort. It's all that, but we don't all know, but I suspect that it's not as collaborative as we're hearing. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say, I think it's the same thing, right? Whether you're saying who said coach needs to work with AJ or AJ needs to work with said coach, there has to be you have to be pulling the rope in the same direction. I think that's a fact. No matter where you go, that is a ingredient you need in order to have success. So there's that.
All right. I'm kind of talked out about it.
Me too.
I'm
really?
ready. I am.
Okay.
I mean, we've been kicking it around for 3 days.
3 days. Yeah, I'm with you, man.
I don't have a whole lot more to add. I think we've made it pretty clear, or I've made my feelings on it known.
Yeah.
And, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next now.
At this point, I think the one thing, AJ said was that you got to move forward now.
That's all you can do. I
right.
mean, we can sit here and bemoan this for as long as we want to.
I think that's warranted.
We did, but we bemoaned it for 3 days. I'm not knocking you. If you want to keep talking about it, I go right ahead. We'll be on tomorrow. We can talk about it more tomorrow. I'm out of things to say about it, other than just to keep repeating myself.
I get it, and trust me, I don't have much more to say either. But at the same time, like, this has made me angry. It has, and it's sitting at the top of my head. And seeing Bob Melvin put on that Giants uniform, and just seeing I've been here so many times in my life where I lose something, and then I'm stuck with what I still have. And that's a weird way of saying
what?
I don't know. That's a weird way. Okay. So
Somebody
Giants,
had to print that on a T-shirt somewhere.
Don't do that. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. No, my Giants friend texted me this morning and said, I cannot believe you guys gave us Bob Melvin. And I was I didn't give anyone anything.
The same thing 2 years ago? Padre fans, when they said it to Oakland fans. I cannot believe we were able to get Bob Melvin.
Bob Melvin's going to be the Giants manager until 2026. Like, he also extended his contract with the team.
As Chris said,
and the narrative, I'm sorry, Tony.
Here you go.
The narrative that was being talked about there, and that Bob Melvin said it wasn't fair to the Padres, the narrative was that he was a lame duck coach. The way you get around that narrative or erase the narrative is to extend him and not allow him to be a lame duck coach.
But they didn't extend him.
Yeah.
And so
that's the narrative, but we don't believe that that's the only reason that he left San Diego, because he was going to be a lame duck coach.
I know.
Nathan Eovaldi will get the start for the Texas Rangers in Game 1 of the World Series. The Rangers announced that this afternoon. Zach Gallen will get the nod for Arizona.
Milkman.
So that is what I'm kind of looking forward to right now, is Game 1 of the World Series. Now, Eovaldi has been outstanding this postseason, 4-0 with a 2.42. Gallen, 2-2 this postseason with a 5.24. He struggled in both of his outings against the Philadelphia Phillies. Nathan Eovaldi has pitched in the World Series one time previous to this. Does anybody remember when it was?
Yes.
It's a very famous game. Skraby, you do remember. What is
Red
it?
Sox?
Yeah, I thought it was the Red Sox.
And what game was it?
Game 7.
Game 7. They did not play a Game 7 that year.
Game 6.
4.
Or a Game 6. It was the third game of the 2018 World Series.
They swept, didn't they?
Which the Red Sox lost to the Dodgers. The only one they did lose. Eovaldi pitched the final 6 innings of an 18-inning World Series game that ended on Max Muncy's leadoff homer in the bottom of the 18th.
That's crazy. Bottom of the 18th.
Yep, that was a long time ago. But by the way, speaking of that, in postseason, there's the no ghost runner thing. There's yet to be an extra inning game this postseason. Not been one. So we've had no extra innings to deal with as of now in the postseason.
That is true.
All right, so we'll see how that changes over the weekend.
We got Sherlock Holmes over there.
What?
We got Sherlock Holmes over there.
What do you mean?
Holmes.
There's been no extra inning games this postseason. I'm just trying to make a bad joke over here.
What are you, Brady Quinn?
I deserve that.
Just missing the mark with jokes by a wide margin.
Yeah, I deserve that.
Yeah, well done. All right, let me see. Bulls 4, Oklahoma City 3.
Come on, Bulls.
First quarter update for you.
No, I picked Oklahoma City.
Oh, no, now it's changed. It's 26-21 Oklahoma City, late first quarter. So the Thunder are beating the Bulls as of now. We'll take a break, come back. Buster Olney to talk some NBA with us as Gwynn and NBA. Major League Baseball, because that's what he's an expert
doing
at.
NBA now.
Yeah, he's doing it all on Gwynn and Chris, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods on The Fan.
When it comes to jazz music, I say.
right, Tony's up. Let me introduce Tony Gwynn Jr., ladies and gentlemen.
5:35 on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris L.O., Matt Skraby. Last segment of the day. As we mentioned earlier, Dusty Baker has decided, call it quits. He is retiring. One of the most winning managers in all of baseball. Where did he finish on that list?
Good question. I do have his. He won unbelievable number of games, 2,183.
Wow.
Over 26 years at the helm, 54% winning percentage. So, I can look it up to see exactly where he's at, but he's in the top, 3 or 4, I would think.
I think he's taken all of his teams to the playoffs, too.
He did take the Giants to the playoffs 3 times. The Cubs once.
Nationals.
The Reds 3 times. The Nationals twice. And the Astros all 4 years. He went to the playoffs each of his last 8 years as a manager. The only thing that's ever going to maybe stick against Dusty Baker was his 0-4 record in Game 7s. He lost some heartbreakers. 2002 World Series to the Angels. I remember when the Giants had a 5-0 lead in Game 6 of that series and couldn't close it out. Dusty Baker famously took, was it Russ Ortiz out of the game and gave him the game ball. Said, here's the game ball. Keep this as a keepsake. And didn't work out. Giants lost that game, lost Game 7 the next day. He lost Game 7 famously with the Cubs in 2003. That was the Bartman game against the Marlins.
Yeah.
Really never won a playoff series with the Reds or the Nationals. And then, did some great things with the Astros, including his first World Series championship last year.
Yeah, that was the icing on the cake right there. He had already had a Hall of Fame career, but getting that World Series title last year. And I can tell you, I never played for Dusty, but he is one of the best managers you'll ever get a chance. Even when you didn't play for him, you would see guys from other teams flocking over to his side just to catch some of that wisdom he always seemed to have.
Dusty Baker was in baseball for a while, Tony. Started as a rookie with the Braves in 1968.
Yeah, he played with Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron then came to the Dodgers. That's where I remember him growing up as a teenager, watching Garvey and Lopes and Say and Russell, that infield. But Dusty Baker was the left fielder on those teams and was a co-World Series MVP, if I'm not mistaken, in 1981. Dusty had some good years with the Dodgers, had a 30-home run season in 1977, finished up his career with the Giants and A's, but he was a great player for 19 years, 2-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner, Silver Slugger winner twice. So, Dusty did a lot before he became a manager. And I never heard one bad word about Dusty Baker. I don't think I've ever met him.
You won't hear a bad word about Dusty. That's how he was truly an ambassador of this game in so many ways. He represented the good part of baseball, both as a player and then as a manager. So many players he's helped. We wish Dusty nothing but the best. I don't expect to see him just go away. He'll be involved in somebody's organization if they're smart.
Johnny Lee Baker.
That's right.
Johnny Lee Dusty Baker.
He's made the wristband famous again.
Oh, is he the one that invented the?
I don't know if he invented it, but he rocks it every game. Every game. The NBA is doing something both Chris and I are pretty excited about.
We're applauding this.
Yes, they return back to the East-West format. No more draft with players scattered all over the place.
For the All-Star game.
The All-Star game.
Yeah,
East,
I like it.
West. Only thing now they need to do is return to wearing their actual jerseys on All-Star Day. They don't need to sell anymore.
I like that. I like when the guys wear the West team wears all white and the visiting teams wear all
whoever
unis or whatever.
Whoever is hosting the All-Star game, if it's a Western Conference team, that team used to wear white.
It's not going to happen, Tony, because they got to sell All-Star jerseys.
I know.
That's why baseball finally moved away from it, and it's just makes them look so bad. Baseball,
terrible.
Love baseball, hate that.
Terrible.
Hey, Charles Barkley just walked in here.
Charles.
Terrible. All right, let's get to let's not get to break. Let's get to traffic. When we come back, you'll get to hear from Buster Olney.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Well, that's South 15 up to no good this afternoon, guys. Crash clearing right before the 52. Everything now over to the right shoulder. Up ahead, right before Arrow Drive, there is another crash. Tow trucks on scene, everything in the center divide. Then another crash at Adams Avenue. This one involved a motorcycle. It's got the fast lane block. Also on the eastbound King Freeway, just past Kelton, we have reports of a stalled vehicle in the center divide. And coastline rides southbound 5 near the racetrack. Collision blocking the HOV lane. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Buster Olney from Sunday Night Baseball and all of the other great things that Buster does at ESPN. Thanks so much for your time, Buster. Good to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Good to talk with you guys.
Thanks so much. Obviously, we'll start with Bob Melvin. A few days ago, he was manager of the Padres. Now he's the manager of the Giants. How does all this look to everybody on the outside looking in around baseball?
Well, folks with other teams were surprised when we got the initial announcement that Bob was going to continue as the Padres manager because they had just been hearing the stories of the unhappiness. And they fully expected that, one way or another, Bob was going to be out of there, whether he was fired or, something like happened with the Giants worked out. And as soon as the Giants moved on from Gabe Kapler, I was hearing from people right away, like that's the guy that Farhan wants. He's Bob Melvin, because he'd worked with him with the Athletics. And so there was a lot of anticipation of that. So initially when the Padres, were telling people that, we're going to move forward, there were people like, really? Like, given the degree of discord, and I've seen AJ's quotes from today where and I did not hear them, but I saw them where he basically was, we got along fine. I mean, that is not at all reflective of what you heard during the course of the year, that it was an oil and water situation between AJ and Bob. And, only those two guys really know who's responsible for that. They're the only ones who could figure it out. I think that's what Peter Seidler, when, late in the year, he was, there's certainly a lot of indication he wanted the two of them to work it out.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. So, we'll see what happens going forward. I had someone say to me that the other day with one of the teams that is still competing, there's one common denominator with all the manager turnover in San Diego, and that's AJ. So it'll be interesting to see what adjustments he makes going forward.
Buster, obviously the Padres begin their search now for a manager. How do you expect this kind of search to go? I would imagine if the word has gotten out in terms of Bob Melvin being unhappy, and you mentioned, the thought that the turnover and AJ may be the common denominator. How do you think the search will go outside the organization?
Yeah, and it might be a little bit be a lot like what happened with the Red Sox and the head of baseball operations, right? Where the Red Sox wanted to bring in a Mike Hazen. They wanted to talk to other people that had experience, including, talking with Kim Ng, and they were turned down over and over and over by people who are like, essentially, I think Brandon Gomes, for example, the general manager of the Dodgers, given a choice between being the head of baseball operations in the Red Sox or staying in place where they were saying, no, there's too much too much uncertainty in that situation, or whatever the reasons were. But it was clear a lot of people were turning them down. I think that's probably to some degree what the Padres might bump into, based on the stuff that I was seeing this year about the issues between Bob and AJ, which I think were fairly apparent early on after Bob joined the team. I think they really need someone who AJ has worked with in the past. He needs to pick somebody who's comfortable with him and his style, his level of intensity. And Mike Schilt knows him, and Ryan Flaherty knows him. And, given everything that went on this year, you want someone that you can feel like can foster some degree of togetherness within that clubhouse and pull guys together. Is that Flash? Is it Mike Schilt? I think those are the big questions for AJ as he moves forward. And I think AJ needs to, and I'd say this to him if he called me and asked me my opinion, like he has to figure out and do some quality control in what he does and ask the question. So I've had, these various people of various range of experiences, and they're walking away and they're not happy. And what can he do better in how he communicates and how he goes back and forth with the manager to make that situation better? Because it was ugly this year.
Buster Olney is with us. It was not pretty on the field. We definitely know that, Buster, although the Padres finished up only 2 games back of the Diamondbacks when it was all said and done. So go figure all of that. We were talking just during the last break here. Can all of this unrest affect the mind of somebody like a Juan Soto or the mind of, people like that who are, going to be free agents or need contracts, et cetera? I mean, Blake Snell, et cetera, Josh Hader. I mean, can this kind of thing come back to bite the Padres in other ways?
It's possible. I think with, guys who have choices, maybe between, if you get a veteran, I don't have a name in particular. You get a veteran who has 3 choices and he wants to, go to a place where he feels good about the chance of winning after what happened this year. Maybe you're not feeling so good. But I think the number one question right now around the Padres is where's their payroll going to be? Because that's going to dictate a lot. The bottom line is if you're going to cut their payroll down from where they were, to, as Kevin Acee suggested, back, I think at the end of August, beginning of September, $200 million, that means significant change. Like you can't keep necessarily a Juan Soto and along with the Manny Machado and a Bogarts and Darvish, and you can't fit all those contracts in. At some point, you got to start making choices. If in fact they're going to bring the payroll down, if they're going to keep the payroll up, then I think that Soto is going to evaluate all that. I would say this too, that generally speaking, my experience is that players, for the most part, will take money at the highest dollar figure. Trey Turner was an exception, as you guys know. That the Padres offered him more money than the Phillies, but he wanted to play with the Phillies. I thought that was the exception. It's more like CC Sabathia when he was a free agent.
Yeah.
The Angels offered him $100 million, the highest offer from any team in the state of California, and the Yankees offered him $161. I think CC held his nose and said, "Okay, I'll take the bigger contract." He felt the responsibility. You know what? He went there and he enjoyed it.
He did.
It turned out he signed extensions. He loved it. But I think it's the first question is, and I think everyone wants to know is where is their payroll going to be? Because that's going to dictate so many of the decisions they have going forward.
Buster Olney joins us, ESPN, and Buster, you bringing up CC brings me right back to Juan Soto, because you're right. CC was not happy initially going to New York, but he ended up loving it, and now he makes his home there. Juan Soto's been here now for a season and a half, and he's had a great season last year. It wasn't his norm, but it still was a great season. Do you see him possibly staying here in San Diego, or is he destined to hit the free agent market and test the waters as a Boras client?
Well, and you Anthony, you absolutely framed it perfectly, because and I know that the vast majority of the Boras clients who get this close to free agency, they're going to go and test the market.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions. Jared Weaver basically forcing his way back to the Angels, and Andrew Jones making a deal on the side with the Braves. It felt like, but for the most part, the Boras guys are going to go out and test the marketplace, and why wouldn't you? And I do think that Soto needs a full year from beginning to end where he just dominates.
Yeah.
And it felt like as time went on, he was more comfortable. I will tell you from talking with executives of other teams, it's becoming an open question of, okay, what is his comfort level really important to what he's going to bring to the table? Because as you remember, when he joined the Padres, it took a while for him to get going. Beginning of the year, he was putting pressure on himself. Well, if you're an executive in a big market, say New York, in Boston. You're asking the question. So if he comes here, is there going to be a period of adjustment? Is he necessarily someone who's going to like it here? What happens if he starts getting booed? What's the reaction from him? Those are now questions that sort of hang over him. It's not to say people don't respect his talent or don't think he can thrive, but I think that question is now attached to him moving forward.
Well, the Padres situation, soap opera rages on. Meanwhile, the World Series is coming up, and one of our former managers is once again in the World Series. It's really amazing, Bruce Bochy, and I'm sure you've heard all the same things that everybody else tells us, that his communication skills and his ability to make guys comfortable is second to none, and his ability to handle a bullpen. But Texas and Arizona can't possibly be a World Series that anybody predicted. Buster, what do you think of this matchup on the eve of the Fall Classic?
No, back in February, I put in a ticket in Vegas for that exact one. No, I'm just kidding. Good Lord. My line about the Diamondbacks has been, and I'm sure, Anthony, you did this when you guys won, where you'll hear players and managers when they win a championship, they go, no one believed in us. I mean, they could be the biggest prohibitive favorite ever, and that is the mantra you hear. Well, this is the first time in the history of sports it's actually true.
Yeah. Right.
Where no one thought this team had a chance. And it wasn't like they won one series, right? They went through a gauntlet of these terrific teams. The Brewers with their pitching at the end, they dismissed them. They beat the Dodgers, first two games in Dodger Stadium. Then they beat the Phillies, who I think everybody thought they were the best team, left on the board. So they're in a great position. And the Rangers. You're talking about a team that, didn't look very promising at all. I was talking to Boch about this earlier in the year when, I said, when did you think that you guys might have a chance to be good? And he said, I thought our pitching, if DeGrom was healthy, that could be okay. And our offense, I thought, would be good. But then early in the year, they began to show signs of having a lot of depth in that lineup. And that's when he felt like they turned the corner. And it's so funny. They have such a distinct personality, which I think in some ways reflects Boch's personality. You remember, guys, early in the year when teams start doing these home run celebrations. And I don't mean to bang on these, but, teams are doing the homer hose and the helmets and the spikes and doing all those things in their dugout. And I called one of the Rangers players and I was like, what are you guys doing? He goes, we don't do that crap. Marcus Semien is such a great pro. Yeah. And Corey Seager is a great pro. Those guys set the tone, and DeGrom has that personality. Jordan Montgomery now is like that. Nathan Eovaldi. They're all these guys who are really serious about baseball. And that played out over the course of the year. And then, of course, you have Boch. The other day I was part of our coverage for the American League playoffs, and I was in Dallas and in Houston. And I looked at Boch the other day and I said, hey, boy, the Padres, looks like a Padres manager's kind of getting pushed out and going to the Giants. You ever heard of that before?
Yeah.
And he had this little grin on his face.
That's him.
He absolutely loves it there. And Chris Young, unlike a lot of front offices, general managers, when he hired Boch, he told him, hey, I'm bringing you in and you run the team. You run the pitching staff. You manage. As opposed to the micromanaging that we're seeing with a lot of teams coming down from the front offices.
There's no doubt about it that Boch is in a spot where there is a cohesive understanding of who's doing what and how is it going to go down. Buster, some great information, man. Appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us.
Okay, guys. Always fun to talk
Buster.
with you.
Thank you.
Always enjoy catching up with Buster Olney, ESPN.
He is good.
He is. He's very good.
Does everybody know that he worked in San Diego at the UT for many years?
That is actually how I got to know Buster. As a 9-10-year-old, I think, at the time when he was here doing.
He calls you Anthony.
He does call me Anthony.
He does.
That is for those.
He's one of the few that gets. I don't want to say gets away with that, but
yeah, because it doesn't bother me. Yeah,
you don't really have a major problem.
Chances are, if you were around Big TG, you heard him call me Anthony, so that's what you assumed that my name was. And
right,
it is. This is my name, but I don't.
Did he ever call you Tony?
Buster's
your dad?
My dad?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I guess that would
My
be kind
mom
of confusing.
called me Little Tony, but that's about it. I got Little T, Anthony, that was it.
Or hey, you get over here.
Yeah, or something worse if you were
in
not
trouble.
behaving.
Yeah. No, my mom wasn't a whole name caller when I was in trouble.
Really?
No.
Oh
not at all.
Oh man.
Just the tone of her voice was enough to let me know I was in trouble. That's gonna do it for today's show. Back at it again tomorrow. No. Half a show tomorrow.
Yes.
Thursday night football. Who's playing Thursday night again?
Bills,
Tampa.
Buccaneers.
Doozy.
Don't say Tampa because Chris will think something
Oh,
else.
I'm sorry. Buccaneers. Until tomorrow, you guys have a good night.